Yeah, all right. Man, I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you for coming.
Oh, for sure. Thank you for the
When
invite.
was the last time I saw you?
Jesus.
I was saying, we were talking about it at dinner a little bit. I was thinking it was back when you were playing and we were playing and we were doing gigs, like our respective bands.
Probably the last time I saw you was jamming over there with the first Holloway album.
Yeah.
I think that's probably it.
Well, I mean, we saw each other playing shows. Like, we did those shows at, like, Carnival of Chaos Halloween shit and whatever we were doing. Or in the heavyweights and those kind of fucking gigs and whatever, remember? Yeah.
Those are the days.
Did you do that Carnival of Chaos deal too? I didn't know.
I don't know. I don't think we ever did the Carnival of Chaos. But we did the heavyweights
though.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was all whatever. Those shows at the intersection. There was like a bunch of shit like that. And then we did like that Muskegon thing a couple of years in a row.
Rockstock?
Yeah. Yeah, Rockstock.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so just let me give a quick intro here for you so everyone knows who the fuck we're talking to. We got in the studio today Mr. David Woody Woodward, who is phenomenal guitarist, a phenomenal drummer. When we were coming up, you were the guy on drums that everybody looked up to. You were definitely the fucking man on the kit. I'm sure you're pretty terrible now. But
little behind the power curve now, yeah.
And you were also a Marine for how many years?
About 4.5.
Okay. And you were a sniper, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, infantry. Yep.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Dude, I remember, so I think we might have been in middle school at the time. This is way back in the day. Like I said, I don't think we've ever met officially, but remember watching you play like one of the jazz band shows. Remember back up on the stage during the basketball games? And I remember you and your brother playing the dual kit at the same time. And as like an 8th grader, it blew my mind. I was like, whoa, this is too much right now.
Yeah, trying to make noise out of all that chaos.
Double kit action going on. Yeah, indeed. I remember you guys doing that shit at like football games and shit too.
When it was ice cold out and your fingers aren't working.
Yeah. I was actually just talking about that to somebody because they're saying their fingers are cold, and I was like, man, back in the day in marching band, we used to have to go out on the field and we'd all put our hands on our own balls to fucking try to keep them warm.
And because it felt tremendous when we were freshmen in high school, let's be honest.
It's like, ooh, little action.
So typically we got this thing where we start the show with a really random question. And this one's not phenomenal, I'll admit. But if you could live anywhere in the world that's not the United States.
It's not the United States.
Yeah, where do you think you'd set up shop? You've been a few places.
Oh, man, yeah. I've been a lot of places. Of all the places I've been that I really enjoyed and could see living would probably be southern Spain, but that's partially because I was there for 18 months.
Oh, shit.
Long enough to get to know locals.
Okay.
And
that was going to be my answer. I've never been there. I just thought it would be killer.
It's great.
Did you pick up any of the language or anything
totally.
when you're out there? Okay.
So I took like French in high school. Absolutely useless. Going forward, I basically took French instead of Spanish because I knew they'd take a trip to France.
Right.
But that was almost useless in Spain. But the languages are put together similarly.
Yeah.
It's just different words. So once I got to Spain and started dealing with it on a daily basis, you pick up a little bit. And by the time I left there, I could have conversational Spanish, not fluent by any means, but conversational. Yeah. But I mean, like the second I got on the plane to come home, gone.
How big of an adjustment / how tough was it at first when you got out there? If you didn't know, could you get around it? Enough people know English to where you can kind of do your thing. Okay.
Yeah, everyone in Europe knows English. I try not to be that guy, even though when we went, I think we went my sophomore year to France. Try not to be the stupid American that just expects you to understand English, but for the most part they do.
Nice.
America's really behind the power curve on, on that.
Well, I appreciate that, and I bet you they do too, right? When you're trying to be like, not
For,
like some
for the most
asshole
part,
American.
they'll let you stumble through it a little bit, and then they'll finally be like, all right, listen, I speak English.
Yeah, which is also kind of hilarious and
Yeah.
fine too. You know, like
I got to imagine the bar for Americans over there is low enough to where you can get shit-faced and stumble it over it. It's like, if you throw out an hola, they're like, all right, bro. You're at least giving it the old college try, you know? Yeah, Peggy Hill style.
yeah.
Me llamo es.
But Spain Spanish and Mexican Spanish is supposed to be quite a bit different. I mean, I know you can get by or whatever in both, but it's definitely, I think, like dialect wise or whatever, and slang and whatever, right?
Yeah, it'd be like going from the UP to Alabama.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, now, if someone's listening that knows better than I do, I mean, that's entirely possible. But the way
No one's listening.
Okay. Well, then between you two, the way I understood it was like Spanish, like Spain Spanish was more like, or I guess a better comparison would be like Queen's English versus American English.
It's like more formal,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And there are some, if you know people, like, plenty of Marines I knew from Mexico or from, other South America and Central America places. And there would be some words that they would use that are just slightly different. Like you said, it's just little slang or pronunciation, stuff like that, but it's still the same word.
And I know that I don't know. I have heard that like Spain Spanish people like have like a lot of like, I don't know what you'd call it, disdain maybe or something for like Mexican Spanish people.
Be like the Queen's English versus American.
Yeah, for sure. I've also heard that Michigan, I guess they've done some studies and shit, and like people in Michigan have like the closest to the Queen's English, like we speak one of the most proper like English, like with accents and shit like that.
Man, if we're proper.
Well, I'm saying that. I don't know how close.
Speaking of low bars,
I read a thing once. That was years ago, but I was like, oh, that's interesting. I've been quite a few places in the U.S., and I do have to say that people in Michigan, I feel like, do speak relatively clearly and enunciate and whatever. So.
You're from Michigan.
Well, fair. So
a little regional bias going on.
Right.
There.
So someone from Alabama be like, man, those people in Michigan. Man, those people in Michigan.
You hear what they're saying? I don't understand a goddamn word they're saying.
You know, one of the fucked up things, and I don't travel much, but the thing you always hear is like pop. You call it pop instead of soda.
Yeah,
like
pop,
that's the
soda.
Or cola,
Uber Michigan
or
thing.
God forbid, Coke.
Yeah. In the South, it's all a Coke.
Yeah.
My cousin lives down there and whatever, but yeah, so it's even if you want a Sprite, you'll still call it a Coke.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's shit's crazy.
That seems problematic. Also, kudos to the Coke marketing team on that one. Laying it down. Well played, gentlemen. Well played.
We'll make them call everything a Coke. It's iced tea? Nah, it's a Coke. You got an answer, you think, if you could live anywhere else in the world?
I do. I was gonna give I got to give the caveated answer, baby. This is my thing. I can't give just but one answer. So Hawaii obviously doesn't count. I know technically it's America, so I can't do that.
Okay. Yeah.
If it would be an option, like one of my bucket list things is the Galapagos Islands, which I know obviously you can't inhabit it, but man, if the option's on the table to fucking live in the Galapagos with all sorts of fucked up
supervillain
prehistoric shit, dude. Yeah,
on the fucking Galapagos.
Yeah, just twiddling my fingers, sitting there, doctor petting the cat and the
eating fucking endangered
and
turtles for dinner all the time.
But like a legit spot, maybe somewhere like British Columbia, Canada.
Oh yeah,
like way the fuck out in the woods. Just Ted Kaczynski it up out there and just be way the hell away from everybody. Just kind of out in the wilderness might be a pretty dope thing to do.
Yeah,
extreme northwest,
right
like up above
Washington.
Oregon and all that shit.
You been?
No, I've never been to the west end of Canada. I've never even been. The only state west of the Mississippi I've been to is California. Been everywhere east of the Mississippi.
Yeah,
but not west.
Okay, gotcha.
It's up there fur trapping and shit. But what about you, man?
Well, so hilariously, like I was gonna say, my answer was gonna be probably southern Spain, even though I've never been there. It's like I kind of would be thinking like somewhere around the Mediterranean-y because that's my favorite food. Moroccan's kind of like my thing, and there's that whole influence you're right across the fucking thing. So it could be Morocco too. And I've just seen, you see shit on TV, whatever. I know they're like big in like fucking roasting pigs out there and shit and whatever. So
oh man, they would have like bars, like open air bars and restaurants where there'd literally be like the pigs hanging on the walls. And so you just, you can pick your pig or pick your beef, your brontosaurus burger, whatever.
Nice.
But something like that might be the answer, though. And again, it's looking at it afar, stupid American. You see shit on TV and kind of extrapolate from there. But like the pace of life out there, they just seem to kind of get it.
Oh, siesta's a real thing.
It's just
I'm into that.
You hang out, like you work 25, 30 hours a week. You live your life, and it's like there's more shit to do than just be heads down and fucking doing the whole corporate thing. So that'd be pretty amazing. Yeah.
So how long were you in there, southern Spain then? You said?
A year and a half.
That's a nice chunk of time to be.
Oh, yeah.
So you're on a base then,
yeah,
right?
It was a Spanish Navy base, and then there was a couple U.S. Navy detachments, and then we were the only Marines there. There was like 60 of us, and then I think a handful of Air Force, no Army that I recall.
Okay.
But it was mostly a couple Navy installations that we were in charge of there.
Gotcha. So they're putting all you guys together in one thing then. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Did
great
you
fun.
spend much time abroad in other places like that? Like any other sweet spots you live for?
Not for that kind of duration. I got to go up to Paris twice, and then southern France, went to Nice, and then England. I went to do some training in Germany, and then last deployment, I've been to Okinawa for 6 months.
Oh, shit.
Japan.
That'd be...
Dude, I got to tell you, man, Tokyo was crazy because this would have been the fall of 2000, right?
Yeah.
And we went up to mainland Japan for some training and did like cold weather training up in the northern part of Japan. And we got some time to go into Tokyo. And we went to Tokyo and went into a mall and like their version of like a Radio Shack or whatever shit, And they had like on the walls, we got flat screen TVs and flat computer monitors now. We didn't in 2000.
Yeah.
But they did.
Yeah.
They did.
Okay.
And so we walked in there and we're like, what the fuck is this?
Shit. Yeah,
Where's the rest of the TV?
Because they're innovating all that shit over there. Yeah.
Welcome to the future.
They're probably on PS8 over there right now.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
Our good friend, one of our best friends, Brian Skoke, who is going to be listening to the show, I hope, shout out to Skoke. He just got back from Japan. He spent, I think, almost 2 years there or something like that for work or whatever. So
They were very nice people too, the interactions I had there.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And they love like American culture and shit, right? And particularly American heavy metal and shit is huge over there, right? Like Marty Friedman is over there now.
Yeah,
you know about that?
Shoot, he's been over there for like 20 years now, I think.
He's huge over there.
Yeah.
Just fucking living it up, doing his thing over there. That's a good segue, actually. I want to get back to some of your time in the military because I'm really curious about it. But you just saw Megadeth. And as listeners of the show know, this is essentially the Megadeth podcast. That's about all we talk about lately, it seems like. How was it?
I got to tell you, so let me go back. My first Megadeth experience would have been like a lot of people, like Symphony of Destruction. It was probably the first one that I heard it and I knew who it was. The first song I heard would have been Peace Sells, but that was courtesy of MTV News, if you remember that.
Sure.
Kurt Loder and the boys throwing it down.
So I was familiar with that song, but I didn't really know Megadeth. So
correct.
Like, Symphony of Destruction and that whole Countdown to Extinction album came out, which I still think is prime.
Yeah,
like
most
front
people
to back.
do, yeah.
And so, figure that was 30 years ago now.
Yeah, it's wild.
So this is my first time seeing Megadeth.
Oh, okay.
I've seen Metallica 4 or 5 times, but I've never seen Megadeth. So, it sucks that he's 61, but still, I didn't expect him to be running and jumping all over the stage. But still, it was prime.
Yeah.
Not to mention Dirk Verbeuren's drumming, and he's one of my favorite metal drummers.
His whole band is just. We talked about this last time, and like how it's a little easier to stay on top of everything when you can hire like young guns to fucking come in on your band. You know?
Dave Mustaine and 3 dudes.
Yeah, exactly.
But still,
and I've said this a million times too. Is seeing Megadeth live literally changed my life in the fact that I literally went home the next day and broke up my current band and then started Holloway because I was like, I'm gonna play guitar again. Because seeing him play guitar fucking was like, I was just like, all right, that's it, that's fucking it, dude.
Oh yeah, those rhythm guitarists who can sing and play technical shit like that blows my mind.
His riffs are just, and because he's like self-taught or whatever, there's something about it that it's like it's so unique, and the fact that like what he does is just like there's just kind of nobody else that can really like do it like that. And like I likened I say this all the time too, is have you ever seen a vinyl cutter cut? It's essentially like a printer or like a plotter, so it's like a fast cutting thing like this. that to me was what his fucking left hand was like. It was literally like a robot.
Well, he's doing like these.
I was like, what the fuck?
Instead of just like, riffing out like power chords like James Hetfield, who is still a great rhythm guitarist, don't get me wrong, but he's doing these like thirds all the time, and then different chromatic
shit. He calls them the spider chords or something. Do you know about that? Mustaine calls them like, his spider chords or something.
Huh.
The way he talks about it. Yeah, it's fucking wild.
I like remember learning a few songs back in the day just for funsies, and like I kept going, God, he's doing this and singing.
Well, I never learned like any Megadeth songs, and I got into Megadeth late, but I learned all the Metallica shit.
Yeah.
And I got the White Explorer either. I mean, that's my fucking thing. But I mean, I like later Megadeth better than early Megadeth. I got into Megadeth on Euthanasia, which again my brother got. So like that was a couple records deep there or whatever. They were already well established by that point and everything. And so that one was my big first one. And then I didn't really listen to it much. I was kind of a hater in a way, because I was like a Metallica fanboy. At that time it was still kind of a thing. But then when have you ever heard The System Has Failed? The record he did? There's like there's a breaking point in both Metallica and Megadeth's career right at the same time in like 2001 or whatever. Right at like Saint Anger, when like Newsted quit, but also the same kind of thing happened with Megadeth. Basically, Dave Mustaine had no band, and he was doing what was supposed to be his solo record. And then my understanding is he got called out by his record label and said, "You still owe us a Megadeth record." So he like turned this like solo record, which you could say they're all kind of whatever,
right.
But it was supposed to be like this is a Dave Mustaine album, but then he turned that into this kind of like comeback, you could say, as Megadeth, and it was sort of like a return to, this was after they went alternative and were doing the and whatever, and this is sort of a return to the fucking, and it also just felt like it was a real break of like, I no longer give a fuck, I'm just doing whatever I want. And that record blew my goddamn mind. And it also has Chris Poland from Megadeth before came back to do the solos on that album. He didn't like rejoin the band. He just came in and like tracked solos and whatever. So anyway, I fucking loved it. So I've seen him a few times. Haven't seen him lately. I was gonna go to this show, but I couldn't give my money to Five Finger Death Punch. And I saw you posting about it. So you were saying they were actually pretty fucking sweet.
I'll tell you, like I said, I talk shit about them, and I will continue to talk shit about them, make fun of them. But dear God, they put on a show. Yeah. Like I mean, Ivan Moody is a top tier frontman, absolutely. I mean, I loved their first album. Yeah. And then a song here and there. And it's mostly just, devolved into angry frat boy rock, Yeah. Like drywall punching, monster drinking.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of the problem. If they weren't wearing their own jerseys with the monster logos and shit, I remember that dude. What's the main Zoltan
Bathory, yeah.
I remember catching when they first came out, he was in Guitar World, and I was like, oh, this guy seems kind of cool, because he had the whole karate suit on and shit and everything. He's got the huge dreads and everything, and I was like, oh, these guys actually seem kind of legit. But then it just kind of became this fucking thing that like,
they're kind of like a caricature of themselves at this point, Yeah, I guess maybe they always were.
Right.
Live show's such a different thing, though. Like, even if it's not, great playing or great music, like, just a good, fun live show is always kick-ass, And I know very little about those guys. Never been a fan from what I heard on the radio, but there's a, pretty big difference between some shit that's on the radio and not getting the job done, and if you come out and wail, like, pretty awesome.
I mean, they must be doing it if they're still fucking crushing and Megadeth is opening for them.
That's what we were talking about at dinner. Like, I didn't know they were that big of a thing. Granted, like, Megadeth probably doesn't have the most enormous following in the world or anything, but like big enough for them to be fucking opening.
They're one of the biggest metal bands out there, I'd say.
40 years in, they're pretty big.
Yeah. Especially with their new album and shit. You up on the new album?
Nope, not at all.
Oh, bro. We did a whole, go back and listen to the previous episode of this show, because we did the deep dive on the new album. Cue it up, man, on whatever you're streaming your shit on. It is awesome. It is, dude.
I'll give it a listen.
Riff City, man. That's all the other guy. Every song is clutch, dude. It's so huge. So what the fuck's the deal with you? You said you're looking at changing your rig out or something?
No, man, I'm just getting rid of it. I haven't picked up my guitar in, I bet, 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, and then drums, at home, I don't really have a place to play them unless I, eventually I want to invest in like one of the high quality electric sets that I can set up at home, but my acoustic set isn't going to work there. Plus it's fucking huge.
Yeah.
So I just play my piano almost all the time.
Okay. Are you getting pretty decent on piano?
Yeah. I mean, well, fuck, I've been playing piano for almost 40 years too.
Oh, okay. I didn't really.
I played that before anything else. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Really?
I was like,
come in and play some shit for me because I tinker on. I play synths when one line bullshittery, and then I edit it, so I've never claimed to be any good at it. Yeah, for real. Fucking, I'm doing the one finger, the two finger. Yeah, that's what sucks here in this spot. And I got the drums at my dad's still. Yeah. Luckily, I still got that spot. I've told you can come play there anytime you want. I had the kit set up. I got them set up now, but I had it set up for a while. Remember when I had it all the mirrored fucking
Mike Mangini style.
Yeah. It was fun. And Josh actually called it out though too. He was like, "Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like it's kind of cool, but like also like it's not actually really practical for really playing."
Right.
And like it was fun for a while, and then it kind of got to the point where it's like, yeah, I kind of miss just like having like a drum set that you've played forever and know how to actually play,
instead of trying to learn all over again at 40 years old how to
yeah. And it's just and I had it set up going like, so it was like literally mirrored like 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, like this was like tonally so you would play
it wasn't even like running
this.
Down like a set of quads, like marching quads or something.
Well, similar. I mean, because I got the 2 8s, right? So it was like I had the snare and then my 2 8s are right in the center. But then just tonally, you got your highest drum is here. So right, kind of like this. So if you played a fill, you'd be like going down like this, right?
That'd weird me out.
Very weird.
But you had the hi-hat up in the center too, though, didn't you?
Yeah.
Was that weird? Because that seems like that would be... It seems like there would be some advantage to that.
Yeah.
I mean, it would get weird, I think, but it seems like there's some things you could do with that.
It is. It's cool. I had mine up kind of center right, so it's kind of over here, almost like ride position in a way.
Yeah.
And it was fun, but you can't do, or it's difficult to do, like if you're into doing like left hand shit on your hi-hat, any kind of like just sloshing on the left hand, but even if you're doing like tight like rolls and diddles or anything, over here you got to really come across with your left hand, and then your snare is down, so instead of being like you gotta like come back a lot farther to your snare.
Counterintuitive,
yeah.
For a right-handed drummer.
Yeah, I don't know. So again, it was fun, and it is different, and you do kind of come up with some different ways to approach things or whatever. Yeah. But I definitely kind of got to the point where I was like, I'm not really even like playing it anymore. Like I eventually was like, all right, I'm breaking it all back down and setting it back up. But now the only thing I got going is that kit's actually torn down completely right now, and I just have it's actually Josh's big rock flame kit set up, which is just a 3-piece or 4-piece with just big cymbals and big drums, because the shit I've been working on lately just calls for just big drums. It's just big simple beats. I'm not like doing a prog thing right now, so I got that all set up and mic'd up and everything over there now, and it's actually really fun just playing on those fucking huge drums, dude. They're just loud and deep, yeah. So that's badass. But yeah, man, the E-kit situation, you should do it. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but it's not the same thing.
Oh, I know it's not. That's why I don't have one yet.
Yeah. But they have made strides, dude. There's some killer ones now. Like we played some at the NAMM show or whatever a couple years ago that are like these German companies are making, and they're like kind of like real drums, but with the mesh heads, and they feel like way better, and they actually just look better, and the sizes are better and stuff. So one of the things I struggle with on it is just the sizes are small. The physical drums, so like it's way, the whole kit is like way tighter. You know?
Well, so I got my son a fairly inexpensive Simmons a couple years ago, and they do have those. I don't know, what are you looking at there? Like 12 inches maybe. Yeah. And it was just standard 3 toms and snare like that, and it is for someone adult size. That's really compact. Yeah. And that didn't feel right. But then he also has one that he got as a gift that had I don't know, maybe 14 to 16 inch, and it was like another 4 toms. Yeah. And then more normal size cymbals, and it felt better, but that was straight up rubber. So you don't you don't get the kind of like
Yeah, any kind of rebound.
Yeah, the rebound's just not right. You know, you can, but it didn't feel right.
Well, did you see the one I used to have the fucking Roland stop sign original ones? I bought one of those. I had that thing forever, and I still actually have the brain to it. So the fucking the synthesizer actually that triggers it, but I sold all the triggers. That fucking thing, dude, was literally those drums were pieces of plywood with a thin rubber thing on top. And it would like, dude, your fucking wrists would be like throbbing. Like if you played like any real amount of time on it, you're fucking just whacking plywood.
Oh yeah.
Jacking it 4 hours a day probably didn't help much beforehand either. The same.
Yeah, that thing. And but people restore those shits or whatever, and I had to downsize some gear, so I sold all the pads and everything, but I said I kept the so now I just got one pad hooked up to it so I can like just kind of sample whatever I want.
Yeah.
Just come up with like a kick drum sound. Boom. This is straight up fucking Phil Collins or whatever kind of sounds and shit. The Simmons. Yeah, it was Simmons or whatever. That shit was fun as hell. But yeah, man, E-drums it's a different beast. And I think where people go wrong is they try to make it be like a real kit, meaning that they think it's going to be. And I always tell people, like, you just have to approach it like it's its own instrument. Mm-hmm. It's a brand new instrument. It's different. Like, you can't do the same kind of things and expect the same results. Like, you have to play a certain way.
Right.
You know, and then you'll have success with it.
Well, that's the thing, because I'll watch, like, some of my favorite drummers, like Eric Moore. You know who that is? Oh, man. You got to look up
is he a black dude?
Yeah, big black dude.
Yeah.
He is just insane for improv and his speed and the doubles. It just looks like his hands are floating. It's like, okay, I know he didn't just play 100 notes doing this, you know. And Todd Zuckerman from Styx is another one of my favorite drummers.
Okay.
Of course, Mike Portney, you know.
Yeah,
and it's just, I watch some of these videos, though, of the way, like when these guys break down how they're doing these doubles and how it looks like their hands are just floating. I'm like, well, shit, where was YouTube, 25 years ago?
I know, man. The kids today, they got coordinate advantage, man.
Because I'm looking at it like, well, shit, now I want to go home and try it.
Yeah.
I know I can figure this out.
Yeah.
But there's nothing I can do about it now.
Watching somebody actually break down what they're playing is so important.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Like, we didn't really have. I mean, there was like, you could get your VHSs and like you could go to a clinic. I saw Portnoy at a clinic and I still use stuff I learned at that clinic, you know, like how to do like up down fills and just like how he explains how he thinks of time signatures and stuff like that. And like now you can just learn all that shit on fucking YouTube and like, you know, and that's awesome, but it's like, fuck.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Well, like even going back to like, so in the 90s, like some metal, it's like, I mean, I don't know that like gravity blasts were quite a thing yet in the 90s, but real fast one hand, and I'd hear that, I'd go, how is he doing that and hitting the hi-hat too, and I'm trying to double stick it and hit the hi-hat, like he must be doing some weird shit. I couldn't figure it out because it didn't cross my mind that his wrist is that fast, so I didn't like put any effort into practicing that.
Right.
All I would have had to do was like see someone do it, be like, oh no shit, that is what he's doing.
Yeah.
And then devote more time to it, or God forbid doubles on kick.
Yeah.
The first time I had ever heard that would have been Pantera, Becoming.
Oh, is that okay? That's what he does, huh?
Yeah, he's doing a right foot double there. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. I've never been able to do that shit. I've always been kind of slow on the kick drums, and I've always been more about hard hitting and groove anyway than speed, you know? But, yeah, man, especially on the kick drum shit, like, I've never been like a super fast, like double kick player or whatever.
I would hear some of those like real fast things. I'm like, that's impossible. That's got to be a computer. And then, eventually you see on YouTube, guys who can do those doubles like that. And like, holy shit, that's not even a skill it would have crossed my mind to learn.
Well, to be fair, now the shit you hear now, most of it is computer assisted. There's a lot of any of the gent metal kind of stuff or whatever. And then they like play it live or whatever, but I mean, like it's just that's the sound of it, is that it is programmed. That's the sound of that kind of music, you know.
Yeah.
So, or they're triggering it. I mean, even way back in the day, the guy from Pantera was using triggers to trigger sounds, and like he famously would crank his kick drum and toms up tonally really high, so they had huge rebound to them, and that's how but I mean, the stuff he plays, as great as he was, is, pales in comparison to what these 20-years are playing now, and
15-years, 12-years.
It's wild, man. And I wanted to ask you, I'm glad that's one of the big things I wanted to ask you was, what are your thoughts on this Pantera reunion?
As long as they don't call it Pantera.
But they are. That's what it is, right?
But that's not what it is.
I agree.
You
agree
can't
with
have
you.
Pantera without the soul of Pantera.
It's not real, man. That's
without the Abbott brothers.
Thank you. Because that's the argument I'm making. A lot of people are like making other arguments, and I'm like, if it was some other band, all right, you know, like, but this is not just like a couple of guys who were like a bassist and drummer that didn't really contribute or something. That was Pantera from where I'm sitting. You know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I'm not the biggest fan in the world, but for me, I'm like, that's those guys. Not that the other guys weren't important, and not that they weren't a band and whatever, but like, that was the soul of Pantera. That's the best way to describe it, man. That's the best way I've heard somebody say it.
And like even when Vinny was still alive, they had approached him about doing a Pantera reunion with Zakk Wylde. Yeah. And Vinny himself said, if there's no Dime, there's no Pantera. Right. And I think now if you take away Vinny and Dime, man, you call them Cowboys from Hell or something, you know, some sort of tribute name.
Well, from what I heard too is that Phil has been doing whatever band he's been doing lately. They've been doing a lot of Pantera songs already. Yeah. But yeah, so it is Zakk Wylde. Forget
Charlie Benante.
Yes,
from Anthrax.
From Anthrax. Yeah.
Who I love too.
Agreed. They're all sweet. But to me, it just like it's okay. It's a little too convenient now that both these guys are gone. There's always been this two factions that when they broke up or whatever, and it's like, okay, now they're both gone. It just feels like, to me, it feels like a cash grab, and it's like, and we talked about it too. We're also like, in a way, I get it, and you know, you got to get paid, and this is going to be their last fucking hoorah. Basically, they're not getting any younger, you know. So like, I get that they want to get theirs and, you know, ride off into the sunset because they're. But I'm just saying, like, it just feels to me like almost disrespectful or something.
It does. And like you said, it does kind of feel like a cash grab too. But, you know, I think Phil's in like 12 bands or something like that. That probably tour nonstop. Rex, I don't even know if he's employed. You know?
Yeah, he's a janitor at a
cleans up after down shows.
Indeed. Yeah. I think he plays in one of those bands, at least one of them with Phil. Yeah. But I'm not super up on it. I'm not a big Phil Anselmo fan, frankly.
No.
You know, I think he's been pretty terrible for a long time.
Yeah, I think he was a great front man for what they were, but I think kind of just showing that he's an awful human being. Yeah. You know,
he's an awful human, and I feel like he just lost his a lot of his skill too. Because I mean, he could scream, but he could also sing like really well. And I could be wrong. Again, I'm not super deep on this, but what I have heard of him like trying to do those songs, like I kind of wonder like, can he even do these songs anymore?
Seems like you're not giving him the proper amount of respect that he deserves.
See what you did there.
Indeed. I shall walk on home. Yeah, I don't know. But you were a pretty big Pantera fan, right?
Yeah, that was another band I was a little late to the party on.
Oh, really?
I don't think I have any recollection of ever hearing like the Cowboys from Hell album in high school.
Oh, okay. I thought that would have been like you were like.
No. I was way late. Like, well, I mean the next album, but like the first song that I remember hearing from them would have been Hollow because that was getting radio play.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, that's really good. And then, you know, from there, then I started listening to the whole album. But like around that time, like a bunch of dudes from high school, I think Pantera was playing at Walker Arena.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey man, you want to go? And I was like, nah, I wasn't that much on him yet. Yeah. So I was just like, nah, you know, I got whatever.
Oh, you didn't go?
No, I didn't go.
Because Josh went, and he's, again, not a huge fan either, but he went.
No, I never got to see Pantera.
Oh,
that's probably my single biggest concert regret.
Ooh, that's a big one. Yeah. I didn't go to that either. I was pretty young, you know, I was younger than you guys, but I remember them going, and it sounded like it was pretty wild.
Yeah, like literally my entire friend group went. Yeah, and I was just like, nah.
That sucks, man. Yeah, do you remember where you were when you found out that Dime was murdered?
No. I wish I could give you a cool story about it, but no, I don't.
I asked, do you know Jason Ingersoll?
Yeah, I've met him. I can't say I know him, but I've met him.
Okay. He was one of our first guests on doing this. And I asked him the same question, and he had the same answer. And I'm like, I guess I'm the only one. For me, it was like fucking, I don't know, whatever, a fucking Pearl Harbor moment or something where I like remember exactly where I was and what I was doing and whatever. And I wasn't even the biggest fan, but it was just such a tragedy to the world of music and heavy music and stuff,
But yet I do know exactly where I was when I found out Dale Earnhardt died, and I could give a fuck less about NASCAR.
I remember when that happened, but I don't know where I was or what I was doing or whatever.
Do you got a biggest concert regret that you missed? You were just talking about yours. You got one over there, guy?
Oh man, that I missed. Not off the top of my head, because I've pretty much seen about everybody. I've only seen Metallica once, which, they're like maybe arguably my second favorite band ever, so that kind of sucks. But man, I think I've been pretty fortunate / fucking threw it down and have gone to see most everybody, so.
Man, my two muffs, dude, you just mentioned one of them, Metallica, because I fucking tapped out on that, which would have been amazing to see, but like I was a man of principle. I'm like, I cannot throw down this price tag, even for Metallica.
Yeah, well, we bought good ass seats.
It was
too.
absurd. I'm just like, I can't.
That was Saint Anger.
I can't just insane anger. Yeah, it's Stangered, and I'm kind of all set on that. And then I fucking muffed that 9 Inch Nails Soundgarden show like a year before. Cornell got caught jacking off. Autoerotic. That's
man, I'll tell you,
a joke, but damn, that would have been sweet to see. Yep.
So 9 Inch Nails was one of my favorite bands, and like Downward Spirals is one of my favorite albums of any genre of all time. Man. Oh yeah. And I had finally got to see them. I don't know, probably 2004 or 5, something like that, at Van Andel. Yeah. And they put on an amazing show, awesome stage setup and everything. And then they got to Hurt, and it was just Trent Reznor, front of the stage. Yeah. My son's actually named Trent because of Trent Reznor.
Oh, I knew your son's name, but I didn't know. Yeah.
That's why. Yeah. So it's just Trent Reznor, front of the stage, playing Hurt on a keyboard.
Yeah.
And he's partway into the song, and like slow motion, I see this lighter go flying up, pop him right in the head. Yep. And he like stops, he like kind of like this, throws his keyboard down and walks off. Yeah. And like people are like cheering, woo, yeah, that was awesome. Yep. And I'm standing there going, I don't think he's coming back. Because I could see, I had a direct line to the backstage, and it looked like people were arguing with him, like, please, come on, dude, let's just go. Nope. Lights come on. I was like,
it was at the Delta
somebody throw some shit in your face. Like,
I hope someone's beating that dude, because that's probably the only chance I'm ever going to have to see 9 Inch Nails. And it was. Yeah. And they still hadn't played a whole bunch of their shit yet.
Yeah. So it was
that's a kick to the balls.
It was at the Deltaplex.
Deltaplex, yes. Yeah.
And the reason why I know is, and my wife was there, and she has the same story. I was not there at that show. I was working at a newspaper at that time, and we had somebody there covering that show. So a couple things happened, actually, is the guitarist was like, I don't know, he was like out of control. He was like spinning around and shit, and he like knocked over a cymbal, and it like hit, I think it was Josh Freese was playing drums, it like hit him in the face or something. And he also like ran into Trent or something. So there was already this like animosity and this shit going down at this show, and like everything was getting fucked up. People were like chucking water bottles and all this shit too. So that's why like I think the drummer got blasted in the fucking face with the cymbal. So that's why they did that, and then Trent came back out to do Hurt solo. Right, because the drummer was fucked up, or there was some shit like that was going on. So he was already pissed, and then he fucking he got fucking trucked by that lighter, and he said like the next day that he'll never come back to Grand Rapids again, and people were fucking pissed.
It's real Lemony Snicket style of unfortunate events going down there.
But luckily he did, and I've seen 9 Inch Nails probably, I think about 4 or 5 times. It's always amazing. One of the best top 3 live shows, and I often say this, it's easy when you're just playing a CD and running around. But that said, one of the best stage productions I've ever seen, and I've seen some huge shows.
9 Inch Nails album question for a big fan that I've always had, right? Hesitation Marks was something I thought was super dope, but I'm always curious, like people who have been real into 9 Inch Nails for a long time, because I got into them late.
No,
you didn't like it? No. I thought that was kind of their return to form a little bit.
it was one of those that I listened to like once and then just kind of went, nah, it's not because okay, so I'll pull the boomer card here. It's like it was like Downward Spiral, stop, hard stop. Like I heard a couple songs after that and just like,
you didn't like the Fragile?
No, it sounded to me, it sounded like he was running out of things to be mad about.
Well, that's true.
You know, kind of like I was a huge like Pearl Jam fan when they first came out, and eventually it's like Eddie Vedder.
Well, yeah, Pearl Jam got.
In fairness, when you get sleeping on 100,000 counts thread sheets, you know, just
right,
Egyptian cotton, it's probably easy
blown by fucking supermodels and whatever.
I think I told this story one other time before, dude. But so you remember like the old BMG or whatever, the music catalogs where you get the shit for like 99 cents, you get 100 bullshit albums or whatever. But the Slimmins or the Pickens couldn't be more slim on there. But the first one I got was the fucking it was Further Down the Spiral, like the remix of the Downward Spiral, and that was kind of my first full introduction other than the shit that I had heard on the radio.
See, I didn't think that was bad.
See, I wasn't digging that at all, and I was kind of like, ooh, and tapped out after that, and didn't end up like really getting into 9 Inch Nails until many years later. But
I thought there was a couple decent remixes on that one.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing, and I think that's his problem is he didn't have the original album.
Yeah, there was no context. It was that as
the
introduction to a full album of any sort.
I thought the Fragile was brilliant though, and I liked that a lot. And then he got off heroin, and that's when things really got not good. No, so yeah, then they did the one with it was a little more like rock, a little more. It was kind of like in kind of a comeback. There was like a 5-year break when he got like cleaned up and whatever.
Like the only song that I can think of post Downward Spiral that I really liked was Perfect Drug. I thought that was a badass song.
Perfect Drug is huge. The video's choice too. That was like a
that on the Lost Highway soundtrack?
Yeah.
And that breakdown in the middle. Oh, man, I would just turn that all the way up in my old minivan.
Yeah, that video was fucking awesome, too. That whole Lost Highway soundtrack was the shit, dude. Talking about Rammstein, man. That was America's introduction to Rammstein, was the Lost Highway soundtrack.
Shit, soundtracks, soundtracks, you know what my introduction to a lot of shit was the Mortal Kombat, the original Mortal Kombat soundtrack.
Oh, yeah, really?
With Napalm Death and Typo Negative.
Oh, shit.
Oh, man.
I don't know that one.
You don't? Jesus.
From the movie?
Yeah, from the first, Mortal Kombat. 1995.
Was it Keith Carradine is Raiden in that movie? Is that
No. That was...
No, you're close.
Oh, God, what's his name? There can be only one.
Yes, the Highlander guy. Yeah, man. Fuck. I can't remember his name.
I was a sucker for that first Mortal Kombat, dude. I love that.
That's a great movie. It's
the second one, dude, Annihilation, is an unwatchable terrible movie. But the new one, did you see the new Mortal Kombat movie from a couple, like
2020?
2 years back,
dude, that's dark as shit.
I thought it was a choice.
I liked it.
I was all over that.
Oh, yeah, it was good.
It was so good.
It was just brutal.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like that album was my first introduction to Fear Factory also.
Damn, all right.
Yeah, like, dude, that album was stacked.
I didn't know they had the soundtrack like that. I thought it would have been all techno because there
was a bunch of techno on there too. It was like KMFDM, Gravity Kills was on there.
Yeah, Gravity Kills is cool.
Dude, I listened to the album. Right. That is choice.
I was really into the soundtrack to The Crow. You remember that?
Oh, that was another prime album.
Yeah, that had some great shit. The soundtrack to that Batman movie with fucking Kissed by a Rose and the
Seal.
But it also had a fucking Smashing Pumpkins tune and a U2 song, and it was a huge soundtrack.
The Hold Me, Kiss Me, Smack Me,
whatever
it was. Yeah. I know what song you're talking about.
I could never get into U2, man.
Stinks, dude.
They're awful.
Fuck, they're terrible.
Wildly popular, but no.
I don't know how they're even like. It's like they're wildly popular, but do you know anybody that actually likes them? Because I don't.
No, of course not.
They're awful.
But they will sell out worldwide.
You instantly lose me at sunglasses indoors. Like I'm all set. Take the fucking shades off.
That's the only part that's good. I'm all about wearing those sunglasses at night.
Edge in his fucking skull cap. What are you doing, bro? It's outdoors. It's Miami. It's 98 fucking degrees right now. It's humid as balls. It stinks.
So like that's like Angus Young being whatever 80 and still wearing the schoolboy. Come on.
I'm gonna give every allowance to Angus, man. Can't hate on Angus.
Do you like AC/DC?
Not at all.
Yeah, me either.
It's catchy,
There's the jams,
lowest common denominator type.
It comes
rock
on
and
the
roll,
radio or whatever, and you're drinking or whatever. It's fine.
That's
but
the
I'm not,
epitome of
not
one of
into
those
it.
bands that was never good, but like if you were in that era, because everybody's kind of defined by
That's
their teenage
true.
Fair
years,
enough.
right? Like it's
Yeah.
whatever you listen to in your formative years, forming yourself as a human being. And for the unfortunate folks that came up in the 80s, that AC/DC, it's like, oh. Was the movie killer though?
Oh, dude, it is vintage Beavis and Butthead.
I wish they wouldn't have put it down in that fucking like. Of course, there are 10 million
Paramount
apps
or whatever.
and
I know, you
Paramount's
can't-
like.
I can't subscribe to all this shit.
I had to
man.
turn the
Like,
faucet off at some point and say I can't keep doing
Right.
these
I know.
apps, man.
It's like I got fucking.
Shit's costing me more than
HBO,
cable
I got
did back in the
Netflix,
day.
I know.
It's fucking
I
brutal.
had to get rid of my fucking cable.
Yeah, we haven't had cable in years.
Yeah, fuck that shit, right?
Got to throw it down. I'm gonna say it again. It's got to be done. Got to score Paramount for like a month and just do it for a little bit. Watch fucking.
They gotta have
catch
that,
the Beavis and Butthead.
free trial.
catch
Yellowstone.
South Park. All the news. Oh yeah.
That,
Yellowstone.
I thought that was on
Yellowstone.
Amazon.
No, Yellowstone's
No, it's-
on
yeah,
Paramount.
it's-
Oh, okay, my bad. Everybody loves that.
I've heard
fucking show.
nothing but
Yeah.
tremendous things.
Yeah, you
about
don't
that
watch it?
show. I've never seen
Oh
it.
my
My mom
God.
and brother just got into
Yeah,
it.
don't have
It's like, dude,
Paramount.
it's so goddamn
Dude,
good.
it's so good. So I live in Ravenna, right? And it's just small town, a handful of blocks, and like that's a neighborhood watch party.
A handful of
my
blacks?
Yes, but also blocks. But yeah, it's like a neighborhood watch party. We'll have like a dozen people in my buddy's garage watch that every Sunday when it comes out new.
That's the
fucking
fucking
awesome.
best, dude. I miss
Yeah.
appointment viewing, and that's the worst
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
about
yeah.
not having
That's
cable
true.
anymore.
Right, where
It's
you
like
can
you just
stream on
burn
demand.
through it and
Yeah.
you watch it all in 2 days.
When
and
like
it's
a
done.
big
Yeah.
show, The Sopranos,
Sopranos,
or like
any of
shit
that
like
shit.
that.
And
was
granted,
a
that
big
wasn't
deal.
cable, but man, it's like the one day a week,
Yeah.
like Simpsons was
You
our
had
thing
to
back
watch
in the
it.
day. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yep,
like
this is-
8 o'clock Sunday night. Simpsons, you're watching it, and then you're coming back and fucking talking shit about the Simpsons next
Hell
Monday
yeah.
morning, dude. Goddamn, I miss that.
Water cooler shows or
Yeah,
whatever they
yeah,
say. I mean, it was
exactly.
like that.
Yeah.
All even Seinfeld was
Yeah.
like that and everything.
Now the breadth of it's just too goddamn wide. There's too much shit to choose from. It's unfortunate. Doing the same thing over here, man. Like crushing these little nicotine bags all night long, just going to town on them, dude.
So,
Same terrible intro every time.
speaking of the water cooler, I don't feel like that I really get informed of what's happening in the world.
Yeah, it's always good to have common talking points, get a
Yeah,
little bit of
yeah.
education on what's going on these days.
I'm not up on the news right now, so I was kind of hoping
Is
you
that
could
time?
maybe
Should it be
fill me-
rectified?
fill me in.
Is this going to work when I hit it
I
this
don't
fucking
know.
time?
We'll see.
Did you hit the flipper? Is it going to work?
Let's see.
Hey.
Dangerville Podcast presents News of the World.
Boom. All right, it worked this time. Nailed it. All right, you want to go first or you want me to start?
All right, I'll rock it out here.
All right.
So the San Diego Zoo welcomes 41 endangered turtle hatchlings after mates finally breed.
Oh, okay.
So they had 3 turtles in there trying to get them to go at it, reproduce the population for a hot minute, and it failed for a while. But success has finally been had. So the zoo mentioned in its release, they said it's an extremely prolonged process. The turtles can take close to 10 years to even reach sexual maturity.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So an unsurprised Jared Fogle replied, she was more than 10 years old? Jesus, no wonder he couldn't get hard.
Jared Fogle.
The process could have likely been sped up by some combination of Barry White tunes being pumped into the habitat, the introduction of Rohypnol into the water supply, or the zookeepers having taunted the female turtle by repeatedly telling her that her hotter, kinkier sister would have been down for sure.
Yes.
While the celebratory news of the hatchlings initially caused great excitement, the elation of the endangered turtle's birth was short-lived after the arrival of Shredder and the Foot Clan promptly laid waste to them all.
Yeah. Well, you know what I heard, dude, is when reached for comment, Master Splinter said, "I'm too old for this shit." That was a lot of material about some turtles fucking, dude. All right, now let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, okay. The Washington Commanders, Brian Robinson Jr., returns to football practice after being shot.
Hey,
You guys hear about this shit? So these two teenagers, they approach this guy, Robinson. He's a rookie on the Washington Commanders in Washington, D.C., and he fended off one attacker. Then the other attacker shot him twice, one bullet striking his right glute and the other passing through his right knee. Robinson quoted saying that the incident was the lowest point I've ever been in my life, except for when I was drafted to the Washington Commanders, who apparently are the worst team in the league.
Yeah, dude, playing behind that O-line, his ass isn't going to be the only thing that shot, dude. His career's going down second to that one for sure.
The Commanders, of course, famously changed their name from the Washington Redskins in 2020, believing the name to be insensitive to Native Americans, which I'm sure it is. Susan Harjo, guessing that's how you say it, a Native American advocate central to the fight to change the team's name, called the change a huge step forward. She went on to say, the indigenous people of North America are truly relieved to no longer be associated with such a terrible football team. Shout out to my homie Ben, who gave me some insight on the Washington Commanders, because I know nothing about football. I go, hey man, are the Washington Commanders any good? He goes, the commies? No, they're terrible. You follow football at all?
A little bit.
I don't at all. So yeah.
I thought you were just burning the candle at both ends. ESPN, fucking NFL Network is gearing up on that crucial material all weekend.
I told him about how you used to write sports columns for me back in the day.
Oh yeah, yep. The good old days, baby. Mm-hmm. Wake up shit-faced, hungover, article due a half an hour from now. It's like, Lions stink. I'll go back to that Lions. Well, I'll write some lackluster shit about that. All right, that's good shit. Good stuff, my man. All right. So a Fort Myers, Florida man videos a shark in his backyard brought in by Hurricane Ian floodwaters.
Florida man.
Yep. So the Florida resident who caught this on tape initially thought the creature was a small beach whale flopping around in the backyard. But upon seeing news that Kevin James had already been safely accounted for, Dominic Camerata quickly realized that the fat tub of shit was actually a shark. So the former director of the Florida Museum of Natural History Shark Program said in an email that it appears to be a juvenile shark, apparently as evidenced by the fact that it posted countless Instagram photos of itself flexing while shirtless. Its gratuitous use of the phrase, "that's fire," and blowing its load almost immediately after a female shark swam past him and brushed lightly against his genitals.
All right.
Pretty. Give myself one for that one.
Pretty good.
That's pretty solid material on the shark. Well done. Is that it?
I do what I can.
Okay.
No.
Herschel Walker. You guys following Herschel Walker and his bid for the Senate?
I am after you Senate. I cannot fucking believe he's going for it.
Yeah. So Herschel Walker's son has lashed out at his dad after the news that the GOP Senate nominee paid for an abortion in 2019. Amongst other things, this guy said Walker's son, whose name is Christian, tweeted, this is literally what he tweeted. It was a whole fucking rant, but this is part of it. He tweeted, "You're not a family man when you left us to bang a bunch of women, threatened to kill us, and had us move over 6 times in 6 months, running from your violence." Wow. Herschel Walker was heard muttering under his breath, "Should have aborted his ass too." Yeah, Herschel Walker's in some deep water right now, man.
My material's the exact same. I assume that was the only route to go. You boarded the wrong fetus on that one. Yeah. That's that low-hanging fruit on that one for sure, bro. Side note, and I don't have a gig. I was reading the article, and they're like, "Oh, his son Christian became a famous star athlete. He was part of the cheerleading squad on whatever the fuck." I'm like,
oh man,
come on now,
really making daddy proud there.
Yeah, dude. It's going.
Walker's is going shit.
So proud of my son. You know, it's tremendous. I support his decision.
He like went into MMA or something, right? Herschel Walker.
Yeah, he did for a minute there.
Yeah.
Herschel Walker athletically is one of the finest specimens ever, man. This cat was fucking unbelievable. He was like that ridiculous mix of power and speed. It's like 230, fucking ran ridiculously fast. Yeah, went into MMA at like 50 years of age, man. Old ass motherfucker jumping
fucking
that
people
shit. Yeah,
up.
dude.
Yeah.
You follow MMA? Seems like you do.
That's another neighborhood watch event.
Oh,
We
nice,
get together
nice.
in my buddy's garage and
Yeah.
watch UFC fights.
It's hilarious hearing fucking Rogan and people talking about Tony Ferguson, who we went to high school with.
Yeah.
You know? And he was good friends with for many years. I mean, we're he
was my
still friends
neighbor.
with
He
him,
grew
yeah.
up
They were,
across
like,
the street and 2
best
fucking
friends
houses
all
down.
through
Yeah,
middle
we used
school
to
and everything.
practice out in the bar and kick the shit out of me daily.
Yeah. Shout out to Tony Ferguson, who was always, he was always super cool to me. I was always cool with him, whatever. It's just hilarious to hear like they were talking about it on fucking Flagrant.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just like,
They did like a 10-minute
Yeah.
deep dive on it. It's going, he's a wild boy.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
crazy,
yeah.
dude. You ever, a quick side note before you go on,
Yeah.
you ever do any boxing, man? I love
fuck
fucking
no.
boxing.
No, man. I don't like getting punched in the face.
Oh, no, not participating, but just watching. You said you're
watching?
an MMA guy to watch it.
No, because when you watch UFC all the time, then boxing becomes one-dimensional.
See, I
Not
kinda-
that I don't think it's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's
Yeah.
it's just not as exciting to me.
I thought the same thing, man. I was big into boxing when I was little, and then it kind of fell off because it was splintered in so many different directions, and there wasn't really one unifying body. It was this guy's the
Yeah.
champion of this and that,
Yeah.
and then I got
Too many
really into
weight
MMA.
classes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is
Stuff,
a
yeah.
disaster.
So I
Having like
wrestled-
5
yeah.
different bodies.
I used to wrestle growing up, so I got real into MMA, and it's still great, and like the excitement factor is a whole different thing. And then I got real back into boxing, just super, I don't know, cool to watch, dig it. I digress.
Yeah. Did you guys hear this shit? Phil Collins and his 2 Genesis bandmates. You know their names?
Mike and the Mechanic.
Yeah, you're doing good. Michael Rutherford and Tony Banks.
Yeah.
Shout out. I don't even have that written down. To the other 2 guys who are not in the headline. Just Phil Collins and his 2 Genesis bandmates have sold their song catalog for a reported $300 million.
Jesus.
Yeah, so this is like a trend that like older musicians are doing now. They're selling their rights to their catalogs and whatever. When asked about it, Collins said, "I can't dance. I can't talk. The only thing about me is my $300 million, bitches. I'm rich." He then drove off in his solid gold Rolls Royce singing, "Take a look at me now."
Pretty good.
"Oh, I'm Phil Collins. Oh, I'm the best one of the band."
He can't dance, he can't sing. The only thing about him is a superior bling, bro.
Oh, there you go. There you go. That's even better.
Off the cuff, there you go. Terrible material. Yeah, it's fucking out of control. Side note on that, so I just like ill-informed about this, but heard the other day Taylor Swift apparently pulled the same maneuver and sold her catalog, but she found some fucking loophole where I guess like the rights to the original recordings of the songs you can sell off, and she is now re-recording them.
Yeah.
Is going to get right back on that fucking train and double
Yeah.
dip into that
Yeah.
sweet, sweet money pot, dude. Well played.
It probably won't be as good as the originals, though. You know,
Probably not, but she's going to get fat paid. And to be
maybe.
clear, was it
To be
that good to
fair,
begin with?
weren't
It's
also
Taylor
good.
fucking
Yeah,
Swift,
true,
bro.
true.
Come on, man.
but aren't people going to want to hear those original recordings? And I think that she didn't sell them or whatever. I think she's getting fucked over by her record label.
That's the way I understand it. is
Yeah,
okay.
Whoever had control.
She's
of it.
like not getting paid off it now or whatever. So
Oh, that's
she's like
bunk.
redoing them.
In that
or
case,
whatever.
kudos for sticking it to the man, dude.
Yeah,
Well played,
yeah.
Taylor
I do give her
Swift,
props for
dude.
that.
Indeed. Speaking of, we were talking about Queensryche. Jeff Tate was doing that same shit after the Queensryche
yeah.
breakup, and it was awful, just awful.
Oh, when you have 2 touring bodies, Jeff Tate and Queensryche,
Yeah,
or Great White and Jack Russell or whatever.
But he was re-recording his songs too. Like he went back and redid like Silent Lucidity and shit.
no.
Dude, it was bad.
when he's like 60 years
it was
old.
awful.
In fairness, I could have done without Silent Lucidity the first time around the original recording.
No way, that song owns, dude.
That album's a banger, and I'm like,
love
oh,
that song.
I'm all
You
set
kidding
on
me?
Silent
I love that record.
I'm not a big ballad
You're
guy,
cutting
man.
me
I
deep
don't
right
know.
now.
Yeah, man. It's
I
the
love
one
that
ballad
album,
on
but
that album.
yeah,
Right.
I know,
Gotta
I know.
have it.
Yeah,
Gotta have
it's great in the grand scheme of ballads. But. All right. So Oscar winners cut their hair in support of the Iran protesters. So obviously there's a bunch of shit going down over there. There's apparently a 22-year-old who was arrested for violating the Islamic Republic's dress code. Got super wild about it. They killed her off, I guess I heard. sparked a huge anti-government protest over there. It's like a big news story right now, obviously. So Marion Coutier, which I hope I'm saying that right, I know who she is, super hard name to pronounce, Juliette Binoche, and other actors, which is now the appropriate term, have filmed themselves chopping off their hair in a show of support.
Okay.
Yeah. So Great Fly Iranians have praised the stars for their efforts, saying, "We can't thank you enough for your efforts and hashtag hair for freedom, as giving yourself a haircut in the safety of your own home, publishing it on social media to go viral and garner praise from the world, should do wonders for stopping the death and oppression we're currently suffering through half a world away." Yeah.
Let's all give them a round of applause.
Indeed. Well played. But when asked if they were planning to help out in any financial or tangible way, the actress has said, "I mean, the situation's certainly tragic, but, yeah." So if Oscar-winning celebrities cutting their hair truly moves the needle, I would like to petition Jennifer Connelly to agree to trim her enormous bush on Instagram for all the world to see.
Whoa.
Your move, Miss Connelly. Let's do it, yeah.
I love Jennifer Connelly, man.
Eyebrows showing eyebrows there, probably a little less offensive.
No. She in Requiem for a Dream, dude. She's rocking that huge bush.
That movie
That was
out
a
of
dark.
control, dude.
That was dark
movie, right? It's a fucked up movie. She's the best. Huge Jennifer Connelly.
I struggled to get through that flick, man, and I love all those kind
True
of movies. Where
story.
it's like, holy fuck, this is a lot to handle right now, dude.
I've always said, like, if you want to fucking keep kids off drugs, just show them that fucking movie in high school or whatever, and they're like, yeah, I'm not touching that shit.
It's got that stepfather from Something About Mary, that
David,
black guy with the big gap in his teeth. Is
David,
that Frank of the Beans? That
Something-
guy.
Oh,
You know what I'm
yeah.
talking about?
I didn't realize that was him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's the one who's like, yeah, baby, I didn't take it out for air. You guys heard about this shit? Florida mayor laughs off Joe Biden's hot mic F-bomb. You guys hear about this?
Saw that, yeah, dude.
President Joe Biden met Ray Murphy, the mayor of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, which you were just talking about. So this is what's been getting pounded by the hurricane there. And the president must have forgotten that the microphones were on, and he was close enough, and he told the mayor, this is what he said, "No one fucks with a Biden." All right, apparently no one has told Uncle Joe that half the country literally has bumper stickers that say "fuck Joe Biden." The guy's so out of touch with reality, he makes Britney Spears seem sane. President Biden then lit a Camel cigarette and drove off in his Trans Am toward Miami. Where one can only assume he met up with Phil Collins.
In fairness, in addition to his mic and forgetting about that, he also forgot what month it was, where he was at, his own name, and how he'd gotten there. So, yeah. Specifically, the nobody F's with Biden. The F-bomb in question was favors.
Yes. Fucking Joe Biden.
Uncle Joe.
Christ.
Shout out Uncle Joe.
Hey, it's me, Uncle Joe.
Looking for a podcast guest the day after Thanksgiving. Just saying, if you're out there. Rebuild that image, bro.
You got more, or should I go?
I got one more
All
here,
right.
I think.
All right. I got a couple yet.
So police say California serial killer, quote, on a mission and slaying. So there's apparently this serial killer out in California, been doing his thing for a little bit.
Okay.
Serial killer still anonymous. He's thought to be on a mission after taking the lives of 6 men and wounding 1 woman, dating back to last year. So the first 2 shootings took place in 2021. Then more than a year passed, and 2 additional killings took place after that, just the past few months.
All right.
Many of the victims were homeless. The police
Unhoused.
Yep. Police wouldn't confirm that all 7 shootings had been linked to the same man, but alluded to a single pistol and shooter. They said during a press conference, "I have absolutely no answer as to why the pistol went dormant for over 400 days, but I suspect that it has something to do with President Biden and the goddamn Democrats taking our guns." So there's now a...
You got loud there on that one.
Man, I was trying to get into it there. Gonna ramp it up a little bit, but there's apparently now $125,000 reward out for the killer. with police noting, "We ask the public to help us identify the shooter as we take the homeless situation here in California very seriously. We desperately want to present him with the check he so rightfully earned for his contribution in helping the state combat this unfortunate problem." Give myself a sounder. It was a lackluster response in the room, but it's good material. Come on now.
It's something else.
It stinks.
It's good material.
Critic.
You know again.
All right.
Nope, bringing it back.
Hey now.
All right. God, that was terrible. A California woman was charged with killing a man over a cat dispute. This California woman killed a man by ramming her car into him after accusing him of trying to run over a cat in the street. So now we finally know what Carol Baskins has been up to since the time. Yeah. Keep going. You got more? I got a couple more. It doesn't stop.
I think you got some more. I think you said you got one about the VP Kamala Harris, and you got some material on that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Have you heard about this shit? Our favorite VP, Miss Harris, was involved in a motorcade accident this week, initially described as a mechanical failure. During what they call a protective movement, a vehicle in the VP's motorcade had a, quote, minor overcorrection and struck a curb. Fucking cracking myself up. When reached for a comment, an anonymous Secret Service agent said, "That's the last time we let that bitch drive." The VP also told the agent, "Look, it's the curb's fault. I honked the horn at it and it didn't move out of the way." She's honking at the curb.
No, we got it.
Worst episode ever.
The Secret Service spokesperson that was commenting on the issue said, "We extend our sincerest apologies to the American public for the mechanical failure and our ineptitude resulting in Vice President Harris' motorcade accident and her minor injuries. It was an egregious miscalculation on our part. We really thought we could take the bitch out." And commenting on the situation, Princess Di said, "Bitch, please."
Yeah. That's a good one. Did you hear about this shit?
I got
wait,
quick,
you got more?
not a joke, but just a timely comment as we intend to inform in addition to entertain, as I said many times. But dude, was catching a podcast, I think it was Rogan, and he was talking about this in all seriousness. So like the Democratic Party, they're like, can they really let Biden run again, knowing that they got to win the House? You know, Biden's clearly off his rocker and all that. And then he was saying, well, what's the alternative? You let Kamala Harris run, who people are not a fan of her either. And then he was talking about like, so do they try and kind of like secretly, quietly take her out type thing?
Oh, so you think maybe that's what they were trying to do?
I mean, maybe, seriously, dude.
Could do a little better than hitting a curb.
Well, maybe if that was some play to like stall the car and do whatever. I don't know, man. Seems sketchy. Seems a little sketchy. That's all I'm saying. Going down that conspiracy theory rabbit hole. Maybe you never know.
Yeah, I'm going to have to try a little harder than that.
Right.
All right. A man was charged with smuggling pythons in his pants at the U.S. border. You guys hear this shit?
Saw that.
Yeah, a New York City man charged with smuggling 3 Burmese pythons in his pants at the U.S.-Canadian border. When authorities caught him, they asked, "How did you expect to get away with this? You're not even black."
Yeah, the arresting officer claimed that the pythons are pretty large in size, but the man's ex-girlfriend quickly came to his defense, saying these wild allegations are simply untrue. At best, he was smuggling a gardener snake. Yeah. She also went on to say that his penis is small.
I was giving yourself that one. You can hit other buttons.
I can never remember which one I hit. We got to label these goddamn things.
That one button.
I got these little T-Rex arms. It's the closest one to me. It's the most convenient. We got to label these motherfuckers.
All right, I got one. I got a couple more. Wait, did we talk about Bobby Wagner?
We did not.
No.
Okay. You know who Bobby Wagner
Yeah.
is? Did you see this shit?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. He tackled that protester carrying a pink flare during the Rams 49ers game. So with seconds remaining in the first half, a man runs onto the field carrying a pink smoke flare, sprinted towards the Rams sideline where he was just fucking laid the fuck out by Bobby Wagner. Well, I forget the other guy's name, but a guy was kind of chasing him, his teammate. And then Wagner stepped out and just fucking laid this motherfucker out. But in fairness, the protesters still looked better on the field than most of the Detroit Lions.
I love it.
The stunt was apparently to raise awareness for a trial involving the theft of pigs from a factory farm. That's what the pink was all about and everything. A theft of pigs. A spokespig declined. You see what I did there? A spokespig declined to comment, saying that he did not want to be associated with that pussy. So then this motherfucker, the protester, has since filed a police report calling the incident a blatant assault. Come on, man. The only blatant assault here was on your manhood. I hope the entire Rams team had pork chops for dinner that night in your honor. It was later confirmed that night, Bobby Wagner porked the man's girlfriend. That's all I got about
Man, I thought
Bobby
that pink
Wagner.
was like, these gender reveals are getting out of control.
Yeah. Good one, man.
There you go. There's a new one.
Yeah.
Success.
Solid.
In fairness, you got to realize, man, you go onto a stage for a concert or a field during a game, you're going to get fucked up, man.
Oh,
Nobody
yeah.
knows what you're doing out there. It's some
For
dumb
real.
shit, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Stop being an asshole.
Yeah. That's what did you hear him in the press conference afterwards? This guy, he's like, I don't know what this motherfucker's got in his hands. I don't know what he's going to be fucking doing. You know, I did what I had to do, you know?
Yeah, dude.
And they showed a picture of this cat, too. He was all fucked up. His face is all jacked up. He had fucking, like, it's probably burned from the field, whatever, the turf on the field, you know, and, like, whatever that thing is, face is all fucking bloodied up and shit. Yeah, fucking idiot.
Got what you deserve. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah, there was
Stay the
another
fuck
one, too.
off
He
the
was
field,
with
bro.
some girl, and they had, like, shirts that said, like, I don't know, pinksomething.com or something. They're trying to, come on.
Stinks, dude.
GoldenPalace.com. Do you remember that movement in the 90s?
No.
No?
No.
When all these dudes would like show up with GoldenPalace.com on their backs, like boxers would wear like it looked like a whole back tattoo.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, that was a whole thing for a while.
okay. You got more news?
I'm old.
Or I got a couple more small ones.
I think I'm tapped out here.
Oh, no, I just got one more. Throwing it back to Coolio, who we talked about last week.
Shout out
Coolio's
Coolio. Pour one out
pouring
for
one
Coolio.
out for Coolio. Gangster's Paradise went back to number 1 on streaming after his death.
no
You guys
shit.
seen that?
Should have
Yeah.
never left, to be clear, but I digress.
Well, that was, Coolio came back from beyond the grave and said, y'all motherfuckers couldn't have been bumping my shit when I was still alive. All right, that's it. You got more?
nah, I was just going to give you
All right,
dog
that's
shit
it.
sounder.
That's the end of the news. Here we go.
The Dangerville Podcast presents News of the World.
With the same inapplicable intro we have yet to correct after now 11 weeks.
He almost spit out his drink.
Every goddamn week. Oh, yeah, I got to get an outro, Keith. I got to get an outro.
I got to make the outro. Yeah, sorry. I'm far too lazy. That was terrible.
Fairness, there's Megadeth news to catch up on, man. Far too much Mustaine material.
The Dangerville Podcast is brought to you by Roundspace, the website where you build a website. Do you have a great idea for a new business or product? Or perhaps even a shitty podcast no one listens to? Me too! Roundspace Website Builder is here to help. Our 7 lame-ass templates will be sure to highlight just how basic your bullshit-ass product really is. Since you're too cheap to hire a professional, and too stupid or lazy to learn some coding, there's no need to worry. If you can do basic tasks on a computer like drag and drop and email, but who are we kidding? You struggled to attach that JPEG of Kim Kardashian's ass in Outlook for so long, you had to call in the company IT guy. Boy, was your brother-in-law disappointed he never got that photo. Best of all, subscriptions to Roundspace start at just $39.95 a month. And when you forget all about it after a couple of months and never touch it again, we'll be sure to keep charging your ass. Right now, Dangerville listeners can get 20% off their first month at Roundspace using promo code Dangerville. And hey, as a way of saying thanks, be sure to send me that pic of Kim's ass.
You listen to any podcasts or anything? You into that world?
Just this one. You know,
just
as does everybody.
No, I like if something comes across like my timeline or something like that. It's like, oh, on this podcast, this was said, and I can just catch the 2 minutes that interest
catching
me.
the highlights.
Cool, that's it.
Yeah.
No, I don't devote any time to it though.
So 2.5 hours that we're cooking with here, not going to get the job done. Yeah.
Yeah, I listen to it. It seems like, well, because why I brought that up was because like a lot of people are listening to so much more of that shit now that they're not listening to music anymore.
Right.
You know?
I am in that camp, dude.
Yeah.
I used to do nothing but listen to music, and now it's like kind of the only way to be informed. Again, like need that comedy fix, and there's just like there are no good comedy movies. You got to go podcast or stand up to get
true.
it. So I've been doing nothing but listening to podcasts almost, man.
No, I still listen to the music. I'll like find some band I like or whatever, and then just let YouTube run and do its thing, and then every now and then something that I haven't heard popped up. Maybe it's 15 years old, but it's new to me. I'm like, oh no shit.
Are you using YouTube Music or whatever, like their app or whatever? Or just like YouTube?
Just YouTube. I just have it running at work, pissing off my coworkers.
Why do they let you choose the music?
Because he's like, oh man, Dave, you gotta be listening to that again.
Everybody's internet's just straight buffering. Like, what is the goddamn bandwidth situation going on? Why is this shit so fucking slow right now? I was over there streaming YouTube 24/7 out there.
Just playing the heaviest of metal shit, dude.
Yeah.
You listen to any rap at all?
Nothing new.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Well, that's the same with us.
I'm stuck in 90s gangster rap.
Agreed, man.
That's all you
absolutely
need,
love it.
dude. I was bumming some Wu-Tang on the way down here, as a matter of fact, getting in the mood, baby. Give me that Wu-Tang, give me that Dre and Snoop. I'm all set, dude. The big three, that's all you need.
Did you hear my rap album? Our rap album? My new one?
New? No.
Yeah, the one I put out.
I haven't heard anything since the Whitey Tighties.
Yeah.
Or Tighty Whiteys, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, either one.
Yeah.
Either one's fine.
Took the music world by storm, man. It debuted to wild critical acclaim.
I'll send it to you. Or you can look it up when you. It's on the same channel as this shit. So yeah, that was kind of the impetus for doing this. Actually, was
Thanks for the polite nod. Like, yeah, I'll give that a shot. I'll be sure to throw that in on the drive home.
Well,
it's top priority for me.
Oh no,
I'm all over it.
That'll be at work tomorrow.
Couldn't be more excited to.
Well, the whole joke though is that it's a 90s. It's a gangster rap. Joke, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I tried to get fucking Ricky out to do some fucking tighty whitey shit, man, and he's a tough one to get a hold of.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get him on the podcast here soon too.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah, he's a funny motherfucker. Yeah, man. So no band at all.
No. I really don't miss it. There's aspects I miss, but I don't miss the work that goes into it anymore.
Yeah,
especially like
work,
when I switched back from playing guitar to playing drums, it was like a huge like kind of like weight off my shoulders, because like when you're playing guitar, you got to learn the notes.
Yeah.
I'm playing drums. It's like I can
listen to the song.
Yeah, I can listen to the song on the way home, drumming my steering wheel, and I got it.
Yeah.
So it's
literally
easier.
a weight off your shoulder too of the fucking guitar.
Yeah. Then it's just hip and back problems, but different story.
Yeah, man. I was always playing that Les Paul, and my Les Paul was pretty fucking heavy.
Right.
And it legit, like I had to actually get that thick strap and shit, because it was like, and I was like really skinny then, and like it was like fucking my shoulder up for real.
Yeah.
You also considered just not being a pussy might be an easy
Well,
solve.
I mean, that's true. That's true.
Just throwing that out there.
So, but you still got your guitars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still got them, but I'm probably gonna get rid of all but one electric, and I'll keep my acoustic.
Right. What did you have? You got those like ESPs or something?
No, I had a couple Ibanez's, and then my go-to is a Schecter Hellraiser, and I still love that guitar.
Oh, okay. They're just 6 strings?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I never messed around with the 7-string, and I really regret that. Because that's one of those things. I mean, I feel like I wouldn't do it justice.
Yeah.
And I wasn't that good at guitar, but it's one of those things I would have loved to play around with.
Yeah.
I
mean, you were pretty fucking good at the guitar. I mean,
in my opinion.
Well, I mean, but again, too, it's like now the shit that people are playing now, and shit's like,
yeah. Well, I watched someone like, you know who Jason Richardson is, right?
I do not know.
Oh, Jesus Christ. He's like top tier elite. A YouTuber. He plays with All That Remains now.
Okay.
He was in with Born of Osiris before that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Dude is insane.
Yeah.
Like any style. And he pairs up with Luke Holland, who's a drummer, another YouTuber who does a lot of session work. I don't remember what band he was in for a while, but I think for the most part, they have their thing. Like when Jason Richardson signed on with All That Remains after Ollie passed away, part of the agreement was he still gets to do his stuff, his own solo work. Right, so he does these videos, and oh man, you should check him out. The production, the songs, and the dude is sick. And so it's like I watch him, and he's I think 29, 30 years old, something like that.
Yeah.
And I just watch him, I go, God, that is a level that I never even had the drive to try to attain, much less think I could do it. You know?
Yeah, that's part of it, but I also feel like too, it's just a matter of like the time you put into it, you know. So like, I think you could have been that good.
Yeah,
I could have been good if you just put in the time.
Nah, I don't think if everyone put in the time, not everyone could be John Petrucci, you know.
All right, fair. I mean, you know, you can get close. You can get a lot farther than you think. I mean, like just learning. I don't know, learning it.
Yeah.
Practicing. It's hard. I never had ambitions to be like a lead guitarist though. You know, like I was all about playing fucking drop D, stupid easy. You know, like that was my role. That's all I wanted to do.
Open 1-3, open 1-3.
Exactly. Play those Tool riffs and those Hetfield riffs and shit. You know, like I never cared about trying to be like sweet, like at the fucking like I don't know how to sweet pick. I don't know how to do any of that shit. You know. But then there's a bunch of wankers out there who do all that shit, but I think they stink because
that's all they do.
Because that's all they do, and they don't know how to write songs, and they got no timing, they got no tone, and they got no rhythm. They're just like, it's like, okay, you can sweet pick all day, but it's like you're not making music. So
right, you're doing cool tricks.
Yeah, you're doing tricks. Yeah,
which to someone who doesn't play guitar, and I can appreciate this because I didn't really start playing guitar till I was 21, so I can appreciate like all the time before that when I would hear solos. Like let's just take a perfect example would be Metallica. I'd hear Kirk Hammett and go, wow, he's a guitar god.
Yeah.
And then I started learning guitar, and that was like literally some of the first shit I learned was like Metallica solos, and I'm like, well, this ain't shit.
Gotta get a wah pedal.
It's like there's not shit to them. You know, that it's there's barely any substance to them, and so when you learn, when you hear some things, you don't even have to know how to play it. You already know how to play it. You just got to find where it starts on the fretboard. It's like, well, I know exactly what he's doing because it's this simple shit.
Yeah,
you know?
Agreed. I know exactly what you mean. Like, I can actually hear songs sometimes, and like, and I'm not even super great at this, but I'll hear songs and like I can just picture the chord progression that they're playing. I mean, there's only so many fucking.
There's only so many ways to arrange.
Minimum effort, maximum dollars, advantage Hammett for sure.
Indeed. Yeah, Hammett. I like Hammett's leads. He does get shit on a little bit, and I feel like there's this whole thing now with younger people that I've kind of rally against, where it's become cool to hate Metallica.
Oh, I know.
And I hate that because I'm like, you guys don't understand. You have no concept of history of who this band was and what they did, and like they were the ultimate underground thing, and now it's just like they've become the establishment, and now it's like they're hated on, and it's like it just kind of pisses me off. Like, I'm a Lars apologist. I love fucking Lars, man.
Dude, and I get how he would at this point be the butt of the jokes, but come on, man. The 80s and 90s, he was like, I mean, no, he was never great. You know, he was not like a Gene Hoglan or something like that in the day, but he was that drummer. He was the perfect drummer for that band.
Yeah,
you know?
I always say too is that like again, now everything's to a fucking click track and everything's so computerized and shit. And I'm like, this was all about just being fast and angry, and it was punk rock, and it was like, like it was about feel, and it was about just fucking rocking out and like your attitude and all this shit. And it's like now like kids are like, oh, if it doesn't sound like a fucking computer's playing it, it's not good. And it's like, well, that's not reality, and it's not history either. It's like that might be where music's gone, but it's the same if you can't like love like real players playing real shit in the day and like making something that was like unique. So
the lack of knowledge about, and I realize in advance this is going to sound like a super old man thing to say, but like the lack of general knowledge of all things by the youngsters of today is fucking ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
Like the amount of times I have heard the actual comment like XYZ thing wasn't even around when I was born. Like, yeah, I get that, bro. But like, I wasn't born in fucking early 70s, but I understand Jimi Hendrix was a thing and a person who was pretty good at music. You know what I mean? Like, It's
know,
ridiculous.
annoying.
Go fucking back. Like, there's a world beyond YouTube. Maybe think about exploring it, you know?
Well, and like with Metallica, it's like, and I don't know where you stand at. I think I know, but like, so I get going from Master of Puppets and Injustice for All to the Black Album was way different, night and day.
Yeah, it was
and people
sort of a leap. Yeah.
immediately hate it. And still, like, people our age will talk about, oh my God, Black Album, Load and Reload were awful. I'm like, musically, those were pretty good albums.
Yeah.
There was some good
albums.
music on there. And even I thought the production was great. I mean, I thought they were great albums.
Yeah, the Black Album is like, I don't care who you are. That fucking album is just fucking.
Honestly, though, man, I'm a little bit in that camp, and not to that extent where it's like, fuck everything past that. But, man, there's like, it to me, it does not compare. Like, the newer shit, even like air quotes newer, like talking Black Album and stuff, dude, compared to Injustice and fucking Master.
I like the Black Album.
Ride the Lightning, all that.
I mean, Master of Puppets is a masterpiece. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I think that is their in my opinion, their best album, and my personal favorite album.
Yeah, yeah.
But that doesn't take away that I think those other albums were really good.
They were good. There was
I
just
love
something
Load
lost
too,
on the
man.
Black Album to me.
I fight people about that too. It's like Load. I'll admit that Reload was maybe it was still great.
There's a handful of songs.
I liked
in there.
Reload too, but you know, Load was the deal, and like it's just, to me, it's like it's always this fucking catch-22, or this you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, because if they kept making the same album, they would just be criticized for making the same album.
AC/DC.
Yeah, and that you get criticized for that, and then it's like, okay, well, we're gonna make every album be different, and so you do that, and then you're shit on because it doesn't sound like what you were making when you were 18.
To be fair, Saint Anger is unforgivable.
Yeah, Saint Anger. And what pisses me off about it is there's actually some fucking killer songs on that. It just, the production was like, what the fuck
happened? Unlistenable.
Yeah, it's unlistenable. We talked about this last week, actually, too, with my two buddies who are big prog rock guys, about how Bob Rock ruined two of my favorite bands, and about how he basically, how he just decided he didn't want to make records that sounded good anymore. I don't understand where his head was at on this. I can remember, speaking about knowing where you were, I remember the first time I heard a song on Saint Anger. I could tell you where and when I was.
As do I.
Dude, I was driving in the Grand Am on the S-curve here in Grand Rapids going to Kalamazoo. And I was like, is this... It was on the radio, and I was like, is this Metallica? Like, what is this? Like, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It's this tang, tang, tang thing going on, and I was just like, what the fuck is this?
So back in the day, remember there used to be CD release parties, and like you can go to like Best Buy at midnight and stuff like that and catch them. So that was one of them that I went to for the Saint Anger one, and I put that in my car without ever hearing a single song on there.
Yeah.
And I'm listening to it, and that first song, you know, it starts out with that riff. It's kind of quiet. And then I kept thinking, okay, now it's going to kick in right here. Okay, no. Okay. Okay, right here it's gonna. All right. And then this is it right here. Saint Anger. And I'm like, what the fuck is this?
The whole album is 45 minutes of blue balls, man. It just never gets you to where you need to go.
I think there's some better, sorry to cut you off, there's some better songs on the end of that record too. There's actually some good songs, and when they play them live now, they put them out on YouTube, and when they're just with their live setup, and so they sound like the rest of their stuff, and I'm like, this is fucking actually a badass song, you know? So
I'd actually seen them on the Saint Anger tour, and they only played 2 songs from Saint Anger. That's,
I mean, it's no Lulu, but you know. What were you gonna say?
Super minute thing, but like in general, I couldn't get into the album. I really couldn't get down with that fucking super high tuned snare.
Well, yeah, that's
like,
what we're
God
talking
damn
about.
it, that fucking
that
like
was
that
the big thing, dude. Yeah, it literally ruined that album. Yeah. I can understand being like, hey, you know, we kind of want to go back more raw, pull it back a little bit, and have like a raw production, you know, or something like that. But like, it was just like egregious. Like, what the fuck, dude? It just sounds bad.
Yeah, like the Garage Days, the original Garage Days EP. That was raw. That was good. You know, just like that. This was ridiculous.
And there was something, and I know we didn't like actually play on that album if memory serves correct, but I could never really get down with Trujillo, man. Like, he's an incredible player, but just like
it never has fit the bill.
And
to
maybe
me
it's more the vibe and the whole like stage presence versus the actual playing, but it's just
it's never been the same since the new
like,
sets.
I love Jason Newsted.
Me too. Amen, man. And you know, he's a Michigan boy.
Yeah.
Dude, just fucking
no shit, I didn't know that.
Oh,
Whereabouts?
Really? Yeah,
Delton, dude. It's right here.
Kalamazoo or Battle Creek?
No, well, Delton, which is between, it's a little false shithole town. And then Yeah, and then he had a family and shit at like Reese Puffer that I had friends that knew. They were like his cousin and shit, and his like his mom drove the school bus over there and a bunch of shit. Dude, like it's one of those things where like if you're from the area, everybody's got a fucking connection of 3 people away from fucking Jason Newsted.
6 degrees in Newstead.
6 degrees in Newstead
Right.
for sure. Same with Maynard. Same
Or
with
Wayne
fucking
Static.
Wayne Static was.
Dude, we used to.
Didn't your
I
mom
forgot
used to babysit Wayne Static or some bullshit like that?
That might have been Swanson's mom, possibly. It
Oh,
sounds vaguely
okay,
familiar.
yeah.
Some fucking local guy.
Again, it's probably fucking not even like.
Yeah, indeed.
We would jam some Static X back in the day, and I remember one time we were playing up at like Valdu or something like that, and someone comes up and is like, "Yeah, I used to wrestle with Wayne Static." We're like,
Yeah.
"Dude, he's like 12 years older than you." No, you didn't.
It's definitely one of those things, man.
I'm not Stephen fucking Hawking, but that math doesn't seem to check out if I'm backdating the whole thing.
It was cool though. Did you see Maynard? During their long do nothing phase, there he come back and he was helping his dad coach wrestling up at Mason County.
Yeah.
Which one of the long do nothing phases? Just to clarify that.
Now, to be fair, Maynard was not doing nothing. That guy's putting out shit constantly.
Yes.
He had him do a like essay and shit, like the fucking wrestlers up there and shit.
Yeah.
Like it was, I don't know. I think they did a little.
Can you
video on it or
imagine Maynard coaching? It's like,
I know.
All right, the art of the single leg takedown. What you're gonna want to do is shoot in
Would
quickly.
he coach from behind a white screen also just back the whole time?
Yes, for real. That's just funny. He shows up painted blue. Like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Yeah, there's always like people though that like around here, it's everybody's got their fucking third degree of 6 degrees of Maynard around here too. Because they lived here for 3 years or whatever in GR proper, playing at the Orbit Room and all that kind of shit. It is pretty wild.
then quickly getting the fuck out of Dodge Keita style.
Yeah,
Like, speak super highly of the state, just get the hell out and then shit on how much you hated it here. But
Get the fuck out. So you ever thinking about playing in another band again, or are you done, or what do you
I
think?
don't know, man. It's like I've devoted my time to other things now. I spend more time hunting and fishing and shit like that, so I'm kind of, I miss playing guitar. I miss making music. I need to invest in the gear to do this shit at home,
It's not that expensive anymore. You can get a little rig,
Yeah.
dude. You don't have to have crazy shit, dude. You got a computer, get an interface.
I mean,
$200
I still always have 1,000 ideas an hour going through my head, and then I never get home and pick up a guitar because it's the same as it always was. I always think of like riffs or songs like while I'm at work or while I'm driving, and then by the time I get home, it's like immediately deleted.
Well, you know what I do actually is I use the fucking voice app on my phone a lot of the time, and I'll literally would just sing riffs in and shit and be like, all right, this is the groove, and I'll just do it, and then I'll just go, and the guitar is this, and then I'll do it, and the vocal melody is this, or whatever. You can do shit like that. I mean, even that's fun, even if you don't follow through on it and make I have hundreds probably of songs that'll never get made on there or whatever.
Easily. Like I definitely have forgotten hundreds of songs
Yeah,
that I've
for
written
sure.
at this point.
I was just telling him I had this fucking hook going on in my head for I'm doing this band called Long After Midnight, which is kind of a Nine Inch Nails thing actually. And I was like, oh, that's gold, and didn't write it down, didn't sing it into the phone. It's gone, I'm like, God fucking damn it. But it is what it is.
Dude, I don't know if you'd remember when I got out of the Marines, I like went over to your old man's house and with Josh I recorded like 8 songs.
Oh yeah, I kind of do remember that. Yeah.
And it's just I had the music all done, and then it was coming to vocals, and I was like, I had no idea what I was doing vocally. So I was like, we started one day and I was like, okay, I'm going to have to rethink this. I might have to find someone to do this. But like all the music was done. And then like the next time I had got a hold of him and be like, okay, ready to do some recording? He goes, okay, I got some really bad news. My DAT machine took a shit.
Oh,
and I was
shit.
like, no.
Oh, no.
And I literally only remember like half of 2 songs of all of those.
Well, they would have still been on the tapes, though. You just would have had to have the machine to play them.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
I was just like, okay, well, I guess that's 40 hours gone.
Shit. I do remember you doing those songs, though. Didn't you have that Line 6 amp or something?
Yeah, I think so.
And but those ADAT machines or whatever, they're like they're like VHS tapes.
Yeah.
They're like
Yeah,
the
they're
full fucking VHS tape or whatever. I wonder if those are still around. I know he's got a bunch of shit on his shelves. Dude. We had a bunch of shit on mini disc, and I found the mini disc recorder the years and years later, the same unit at this like used computer store thing for like $50 or something. So I bought it, and I was like, we got to get this shit off of the mini discs. Because he still had the discs.
No shit.
And I'm like, that was what we were doing tighty whitey shit on and whatever.
Mini discs.
Yep,
man.
I know, right?
I never owned a single mini disc.
Dude, it was the worst. Just awful, dude. It was only around for a fucking couple years. It was just terrible. It was like a little mixer thing, and you popped the fucking mini disc in, and yeah, it was terrible.
All right, there's no good transition into this, but I've been meaning to bring this up for a couple of weeks. I thought about bringing it up in news, but I wanted to talk about it for 2 seconds. It kind of works out perfectly. You mentioned the Marine thing a couple of times, so I got to get into this real fast. All right. So there was this nursing home in Taiwan. I read this story about it. I don't know if you guys happen to see
I've seen this porn.
Well, you're not far off, incidentally. So this nursing home in Taiwan, for their veterans, they hired fucking strippers to come in and give 12 wheelchair veterans lap dances.
Nice.
So the whole thing, like, they've got this big Mid-Autumn Festival over there, which is a huge thing. It's like on par with the Chinese New Year in terms of popularity, so it's a super big deal. It's been canceled the last few years because of COVID. So to give these old fuckers, you know, like a little bit of joy, they're like, let's get some hookers in here and have dance, you know. So of course they do it, and they've got videos. These guys are fucking loving it, you know. These old men are just fucking getting after it, 80, 90 years old, and they're loving it. Of course, it goes viral on social, and the fucking woke mob gets after it, and everybody's, oh, this is so wildly inappropriate. So, like, come the fuck on, man.
No
like,
shit.
These guys are 100 years old. It's probably the first time they've had a smile/erection in like 40 years.
Indeed.
If the complaint is anything other than why aren't we doing this for our American veterans, get the fuck out of here. And I don't want to hear it, man. Like, what is the possible harm in this?
Earn that shit. Think of how many more recruits they'd get into the military if fucking they knew that this was a thing and the part of the retirement plan.
We used to joke that they should issue every squad their own hooker.
Just
like,
one.
You know,
that's a rough gig, man.
That wouldn't be the weirdest thing.
One pre-vetted, like STD checked hooker, that would seem to save a lot in back end healthcare after the fact, as opposed to leaving people to their own volition. You know,
true
what I mean?
Fucking story. There was a dude who went and bought himself a pocket pussy, and we're hanging out at the barracks, drinking whatever. And he disappears into his bathroom. He comes out a few minutes later in just a towel. And he goes, dude, you guys want to try this? Just rinse it off when you're done.
Pass around.
Like, what?
He's all exhausted, just sweaty, just panting like, oh, it's a hell of a ride. You guys got to give this thing a whirl
fucking
here.
19 in the military and fucking haven't been getting at it or whatever. Yeah. So you went in, it was what, 97?
97, yeah.
Okay, yeah, pretty good on the date there. Why did you go in? Like, was it just like a career thing mostly, or were you like, I mean,
honestly, I couldn't tell you why.
Yeah.
It was just kind of a switch kind of flipped. And it's like, I'm going to do this. Cause like in high school, remember, you know, all the recruiters will come to sometime in your senior year, they're going to come around, give you their little piece and tell you why you should join the Army or the Marines or the Navy, blah, 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 and promise you the world. Well, they would call me, and like, other true story, Marine recruiter called me at home one time, and he said, you know, do you want to join the Marines? I said, no, I have no desire to join the Marines. And he goes, well, if you could join the military, what would you want to do? And I said, well, I'd love to be a fighter pilot, but I can't because I'm like fucking legally blind. I've been wearing glasses since 2nd grade.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you could be a navigator. And I said, navigator? You mean like Goose?
Yeah, I remember. I remember that story.
He goes, he goes, yeah, like Goose. And I said, well, Goose died. and he was
calling
silent.
his bluff there.
Yeah, he was silent for like 7-8 seconds. And but
Top
that's
Gun.
A movie.
But
That's
Top
a
Gun.
movie. Come on. And I'm like, no, I have no fucking desire. And he's like, well, what are you going to do? And at the time, I was planning on going to Berkeley Music College in Boston, right?
Yeah.
And I said, I'm planning on going to Berkeley Music College. And he goes, you know, the Marine Corps has some of the finest musicians in the world. I said, no, Berkeley Music College does. That's why I'm going there.
Yeah.
And then that didn't end up panning out. It was just too much money, you know?
Yeah. And
I
got in there too and didn't go.
Yeah, I got to tour the campus and everything. they treated me awesome. But yeah, it was just too much money. And so I just worked into what would have been 13th grade, I guess, you know, if you like stuck around here. And then eventually like October that year after graduation, I was like, I'm going to go join the Marines.
Yeah.
And I went down to the recruiter's office, told him I want to join. All right, when do you want to leave? I said, as soon as possible. And I knew I wanted to be infantry. That's the only thing I wanted to do. I wanted to do, you know, no offense meant to anyone else. I wanted to do Marine shit. You know? So I said, I want to be infantry. I said, I want to go as soon as I can. He goes, all right, how's next Tuesday? And I was like, not that soon. My dad will definitely kill me. So I ended up getting pushed back, and I left in December.
Gotcha. Yeah, I kind of even remember like thinking at the time, like, wow, that seems kind of it was kind of a weird move for you at the time, because you were like, again, like you were pretty goofy and like, you know, like super funny and a super talented musician and everything. And it was kind of like the Marines. Huh?
It was like, really?
How hard is it? So I've always wondered this, like if you, and granted we didn't know each other, but if your personality is kind of just out there and like goofy guy kidding around, how much or like how difficult is it to retail your personality and get into this little box and fucking do this, say this? Like, is that a tough adjustment, I would think?
Yes, but you just have to be willing to do it. Like some people will say, one of our favorite things we would joke about is, oh, if I would have went to boot camp, I would have punched that drill instructor right in the face if he got in my face.
That's going to work out well for you, dude.
Yeah, that makes you so tough.
Latrine duty for the next 6 months.
So it's like you have to be willing to let them do their job and essentially break you down, right?
Yeah.
And boot camp sucks when you're there. In hindsight, you look back at it, it's not that hard, and a lot of funny shit happens there that's like not funny at the time, but you look back and you're like, Jesus Christ, how did we not die laughing, you know?
Yeah.
And sometimes, because you'd get in trouble, you'd find something would happen, and you're like,
for sure.
Is it more like ongoing? I think I would imagine the answer, but like boot camp specifically, is it more difficult, the physical aspect of it and them breaking you that way, or is it more the mental aspect and just all the fuckery that they, I assume, do with your head?
I would say mental for sure. Physical, because they gotta kind of tailor it to the lowest common denominator. You know, it's there's you know some fat bodies that will get sent to. It was called, I don't know what they call it now, but it was called PCP, Physical Conditioning Platoon. We called it the Pork Chop Posse. The
Vincent D'Onofrio.
So they would like send the fat bodies elsewhere to lose weight and try to get into shape. But you know, for normal, almost everyone there played some sort of sport. You know, even at bare minimum, you had some sort of athletic ability. You know,
it seems like there's got to be a tie-in with that whole team. Anyway. Physically,
it wasn't demanding, you know, for me and probably for like the vast majority. You know, it's all mental. The fuck games. You did everything right, but you're still wrong, and now we're gonna fucking thrash everything, and you're gonna clean it up, and you got 5 minutes to do it. Well, you know it's impossible. So they're gonna make you start over again, and thrash everything again. You know,
man, I wouldn't like that aspect, but like this is gonna be a fucking really lame analogy, but like I always liked the discipline aspect of being in marching band and like standing at attention and doing a bunch of push-ups. I know how lame that sounds,
but you're not wrong.
But that's where marching band comes from, is from the military.
Yeah,
right?
you're not wrong. Yeah. It's just, you know, especially so when we got into doing the band camp and competitive, you know, the drum line and shit like that. There is that discipline. You do have to do that. You know, you can't be fucking around, looking around at your buddy. Hey, you know, it's
all of that is based
forward,
on military band stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
In fairness to the analogy, it probably took a fair amount of balls for the frontline snare players during Revolutionary War. It didn't seem to work out too good for those gentlemen most of the time, you know.
We're going to war. Let me get my flute.
The flautist in the back, just like,
that's the fucking hardest man of the bunch, dude.
Honestly, though, and I know it sounds like a token thing to say because it is, but dude, I could not have more fucking respect. And I think I talked about this before, but like I had this wildly irrational, paranoid fear growing up, and I was super religious when I was little. And I remember praying all the fucking time, like, the prospect of being drafted and going to war, I cannot imagine a more fucking terrifying thing. So,
big
ups on that, dude. That's like, I don't know how you get the stones to fucking do that whole deal, man. That's got to be a whole thing in and of itself.
Now, to be fair to your being fairness, it was, obviously we worked really hard. We did a lot of it's hard work, especially doing infantry shit, but it's also hard partying.
Right.
Like I said.
Well, I would imagine you've got to be able
Spain.
to detach and fucking depressurize a little bit
yeah.
in an environment like that. Like, there's no way around that, right?
Yeah.
You've got to do it.
18 months in Spain as a 19, 20-year-old.
Yeah. Probably had a lot of fun. Yeah.
Much alcohol was consumed.
Yeah. Play hard, work hard, play hard kind of thing.
Yeah.
Pocket pussies as far as the eye can see, man.
Yeah. So, you were still in when 9/11 happened then?
Yeah, I was actually in Peru.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what happened? Like, what was the tone of, like, I mean, like, what were, how this happens and you're in, and, like, I mean, what were people saying? What was the...
So, okay, so this isn't a very short story, but
Well, we got time.
what happened, and this does lead to my single biggest regret of my entire life, was I should have stayed in. But at the time, so September 11th happens, and I was on ship. I was on my last deployment. There was our detachment of Marines on a single Navy ship that we went from North Carolina down to Ecuador, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Chile, Argentina, Brazil, South Africa, and Ghana, and back to Puerto Rico and up.
Shit.
And we happened to be down in Peru on ship in port when the plane started hitting. And the first one hit, a little delay gets to us, and I was laying in my rack. And Lance Corporal Clark comes up, and he's like, "Hey, Sergeant Woodward, a plane just crashed into the Twin Towers." And I'm in my mind, I'm picturing a little, like, single engine, some bullshit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? And I was like, what kind of idiot didn't see that there?
Yeah.
He's like, no, I think it's something serious, man. You should come take a look. I was like, all right. Got out of bed in time to see the second one hit.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah.
oh shit, this is real, right?
Yeah.
And so what we did on ship is they recalled anyone who was off the ship, who was on shore, and everyone come on ship, and we promptly pulled out of port and went out, I don't know how far off, and we started doing grid squares, which means just like the ship's just doing, 1 kilometer squares, waiting for orders. What are we doing now?
Yep.
And then from there, it was just like, well, kind of, since we are by ourselves, we weren't part of a larger detachment. Like, there wasn't a dozen other ships with us.
Right.
And so from there, they're just like, well, carry on with your deployment while we figure out what's going on. And they had said they did what's called a stop loss. So if you were to get out after January 1st of 2002, then you were automatically involuntarily extended 6 more months. So there were 6 of us on ship who had already voluntarily extended past our 4 years just to go on this deployment. And we would have got out before then had we not gone on this deployment.
Okay. Yep.
So the 6 of us went to our first sergeant. We're like, how does this affect us? What are we doing? Like, are we going to go join what's called a MU, like a bigger group of ships and bigger, a couple thousand Marines? Are we going to go join one of them? Or are we just going to putt around and do our little bullshit, fucking fantasy tour, like, hey, high five all the locals and shit? And they said, that's what we're going to keep doing. All right, great. So we want to figure out what the 6 of us are going to do. So eventually we get back to the U.S. and like in December of 2001. And they said, okay, so what do you guys want to do? Get together. And we said, well, what is our unit doing? I was in 1st Battalion 6 Marines out of North Carolina. And we said, what is our unit doing? Are we going to go to war? Are we going to go to Iraq or Afghanistan or anything like that?
Mm-hmm.
And they said, well, right now we're just scheduled to go back to Okinawa in July. Well, fuck me. We had just been there last year. I was like, do we really want to stick around to go to Okinawa again? We didn't realize there's going to be a 20-year fucking war.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. So our first sergeant said, well, what do you guys want to do? So the 6 of us got together. We said, well, if we can, find a unit that is going to the Middle East, if anyone is yet, because we didn't have orders for that yet. Those weren't trickling down. Yeah. We're like, if anyone's going to the Middle East, see if they can take us. You got 6, 4-year NCOs. And so,
what's NCO? Sorry,
non-commissioned officer. So we were all sergeants, so we'd been in experience, and we said, well, get us in the first unit going. So he shopped around and he came back and said, everyone's full. So we said, all right, well, I guess get us out. That was what we came to as a group decided on. Okay. So he did. And so he got us out February 8th, 2002. And it wasn't a week later. I guess it was a couple months later. One of my buddies who had re-enlisted and went to a different unit, they were going to the Middle East, and they had 40 people not come back from leave because they didn't want to go. I'm like, motherfucker.
Right, yeah.
Why would you not overstock? Because figure I was in during peacetime, and all these people were in during peacetime.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to go get some college money, right?
Exactly.
Get some pussy and alcohol, and, and then suddenly shit hits the fan. You're going to actually have to do your job. Holy fuck, I don't want to do my job.
So when you say they didn't come back, was that their option to not do so, or was that just cheese it, get the fuck out of Dodge AWOL?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just like, oh fuck, I don't want to play soldier anymore.
I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah.
So what? Oh, sorry.
So go ahead. Question.
Yeah. So what in that situation? Like, what is the general sentiment? Is it more come together and we're America and we've got to do this thing? Is it more pro-America or anti-enemy when you guys first heard about that, if that makes sense?
From a Marine perspective or from just an American perspective? How old were you?
We're 5 years
17,
younger than you.
Yeah, I guess it would have been 17, I think, when that happened, give or take. Yeah.
Well, bigger picture was very pro-American at the time. It was, it was great. It was a great time. It was a horrible time, but it was also a great time, at the same time.
America was very...
like a Pearl Harbor type event, for our generation.
For sure.
From Marine perspective, yeah, everyone was fired up. It was basically everyone, like, in like my unit and probably every other infantry unit was a living 5-figure Death Punch song, It's like, oh, we're going to get,
ready to go.
Well, in a fucked up way, and not to be callous about the situation, but like even those worst situations, sometimes that's where everybody gets drawn together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and everybody just kind of bands together, and it's the worst possible shit you can imagine, and that's a big pull for people.
Even like, some of the shitbags, like, kind of found a proper lane to be in. It was, I don't know, it was, like I said, it's my single biggest regret. I should have stayed in.
You could have re-signed up, basically, or whatever, right?
And then what the great thing is, like, my buddy who, I had a handful of friends who stayed in for 20 years, and I fucking should have. I retired 6 years ago, it would have been all right.
Yeah.
I actually jotted that down earlier. Sorry to jump back. I'm a question guy right now. I'm going Dan rather, I guess.
Please do.
So you mentioned that a couple of different times. Like, why specifically was that a big regret getting out when you did? Because
that was one of those... what's the line from the impression that I get? Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. I'm not a coward. Not a coward. I've just never been tested.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to think that if I was, I would pass. That's that's one of those things.
Kind of see what you're made of in the situation when the shit hits the fan type deal.
It's like you've been there for 4 years, and now there's this thing. And,
I trained for this, and then I didn't do it. I had the opportunity, and I didn't stick it out because we were all short-sighted. We didn't think that it was gonna become what it was.
So you can't really hold that against yourself, though. You didn't know, and also, like, you did your time, you did what you signed up for or whatever. So I mean, I get why you would think that, though, or whatever. It's for us, what's interesting for us is we were the graduating class that year when that happened. So it was our 18-year-olds. It was us. It wasn't us, but it was our class that everybody signed up.
Yeah.
So like everybody, that was a huge fucking thing that everybody was going in, because 9/11 happened. So lots of people that wouldn't have went into the military at all went in, and people we never thought would have went in, and
it's a rallying point, right? I mean, shit like that goes on. That's a pretty distinct line of demarcation and something that's going to drive action one way or the other. You're going to be on one pretty firm side of the camp or the other on that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It was definitely some wild times. So, yeah, I didn't really know what your role was or was not or whatever there. So it's just interesting to hear about. I don't know. I don't have a ton of close friends or anything that were in the military or anything. So it's definitely just interesting to kind of hear like what was happening like inside baseball a little bit there.
right. Yeah.
I got to imagine the camaraderie situation is just basically unlike anything else,
man,
right? Like
yeah,
that's got to be something that pulls you together as a group.
Oh man,
like
yeah,
nothing else can.
I can't imagine anything more like it. You know, even just like in Spain, you know, or you know during peacetime, just the way. Even people that you wouldn't like this guy in normal, like if you went to high school with him, you might not hang out with him, but now you're brothers.
Common cause.
And it is, you know, it is a different world. And like being in a band for a long time, had a similar feel to that, but I mean, still not even close, you know.
Do you keep in touch with any of those guys? So it's like a lifelong thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Did you get any like tattoos and shit, like your
I never
or any of that kind of stuff? Or
nope. I didn't want to be that guy while I was in because believe me, I've seen some awful. Like,
got one tramp stamp. That's it.
No, just like shitty. Like we're going out to San Diego get tattoos, and they all like get like matching really bad Marine Corps tattoos. I'm like, oh man, I will not be that guy while I'm in.
Yeah.
Like there was seriously, I had a company gunny who was on his 5th or 6th marriage, and he had every single one of his wife's names tattooed on him.
Oh no,
and then
crossed off.
Covered up. Every single one covered up. Yep.
That's fucking hilarious. My cousin was a deep sea diver in the Navy. He was a career guy there, whatever. He did all that, but he was telling me about how they all went out and these guys all got these panther tattoos, and he was like the same joke. It's just like
the shit off the wall.
Yeah, literally. It's like, I don't know what to get. Let's all get these panthers, and it was just so fucking bad.
I think one of the worst ones I saw. So when we were down in Ecuador, this one dude. Oh man, I got to tell you about this guy. He got this tattoo of the Cobra Commander symbol.
Yeah.
He got that symbol like shoulder to shoulder on his back.
Oh man,
in Ecuador,
huge.
and then we went into a jungle for 2 weeks where he did not take care of it. I've never seen a tattoo do this. It looked like it was melting down his back.
Yeah.
It was the wildest fucking thing.
It was probably really bad ink and everything to begin with, and then you're in the jungle.
Like I'd heard horror stories like that, but I'd never actually seen it until I saw it.
Man.
That's fucked
Now to give you background on this dude, he's from he lives out by like Sturgis, like whatever, that's South Dakota, right? Big biker guy, right?
Yeah.
And he was telling one of the other Marines one time, like someone was making fun of him. He went out to Sturgis one time and he like stopped in Iowa or something like that and got some chick pregnant. He's paying child support for a kid he's never seen. And but he was telling one of the Marines, he said, you know what, when I get home, when I get out, I'm going to change my name, legally change my name. He's like, oh yeah, what are you going to change your name to? Hold on here. It's Blix Hudson Brimstone Hawk, right? Blix Hudson Brimstone Hawk. So we started calling him Brick Rim Job Firehawk Tire Tread, or just Brick or Rim Job, to the point where he would respond to be like, "Hey, Brick!" Like, yes, Sergeant.
The Hudson Hawk reference in there.
Oh yeah,
too? Like, oh my god. Wow.
And he hasn't been active on Facebook in years, but his Facebook was Blix Hawk.
Jesus,
I was like, Jesus,
Christ. Man. Well, dude, you should fucking think about playing again. You know, if you ever want to, you got an open invite with me. You want to come over to the old man's? You know where it is, dude. It's not far, right? You want to just jam sometime or
want to get that rap career started up? Just saying,
right, man.
Bust a rhyme or two to get a little funky in the booth.
We're ready for that here. You ever want to fucking record something? Just let me know, dude. You know, we'll fucking work it out. Because you're just a talented guy. I hate to see somebody not. I understand why you're not, but at the same time, like, I know how good you are at this shit. So like,
I appreciate it.
You should definitely consider, like, just do something. You said you're still playing piano. You know, like, just make sure you're still doing something. If you ever want to fucking jam on the kit, just to fucking jam and get your rocks off. I got kits set up. I don't even got to be there. You can just fucking, you know what I mean? Like, just come and play, dude. Or like, I got my amps and guitars and everything over there. We can record whatever you want or set up and jam or whatever. If you ever want to play in anything, there's never a shortage of music with me. I have too many recording projects going on that all need guitars and piano and shit on constantly. So I just want to encourage you to fucking still rock, because I know how good you are, man. So
I'd love to record some shit.
Yeah,
you know?
well-
even some covers or something. You know.
Yeah.
Like some interpretations of
Yeah,
covers.
well, you saw the Elvis thing,
Oh,
right? I'm
fucking
trying to do
loved
more
that.
fun shit. Like,
Dude, that was awesome.
Super fun, right? That's
Yeah.
the kind of shit I'm trying to do now too, for the same reasons. It's
Yeah.
just having fun with my friends, fucking around, doing funny ass shit, or whatever. So like, yeah, man, we'll definitely get you on something there, dude. So hit me up. Usually I say, is there anything you want to promote or anything? But you're not really fucking doing anything. So, so what the fuck? So yeah, man, thank you so much for coming out. It was fucking awesome hearing about your marine stories and shit, dude. Super crazy shit, man.
Hell yeah.
God
I
damn.
appreciate it.
I'm sure you got more wild ass
I
stories
do.
too. I know. Well, so we'll have you come back out and we'll dive back into some of the fucking
Yeah, just let me know when.
the deep dive fucking.
I'll bore the
crazy
shit
ass
out of you
shit.
with some shit. Or shock the shit out of you.
We'll have to go shooting sometime too, man. I got
Absolutely.
a couple of nice guns nowadays. So
Hell yeah.
we'll go fucking out. So all right, man. Thank you so much for coming. We'll wrap it up. Appreciate you, man.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, good chat, dude.
Later.